Hey everyone, welcome back to the Direct Video Connoisseur Podcast. As always, this is Matt here, and we'll get started with our episode here in just a minute. We've got Ty from Comeuppance back on here. We'll be talking about two films today. We'll be talking about the Bruce Willis John Travolta film, Paradise City, and then we'll be looking at the Nevsky film, Gunfight at Rio Bravo, that also has Olivier, Gruner, and Matthias Hues. So we're going back into the Nevsky pool on that. We'll see how those films do. Coming up on the podcast next week, we're finishing up the Fast and Furious franchise with, Fast 9 and Fast X, right? Or Fast 10, however we want to call those. But we'll be wrapping up with those two. Where we're going to go next from there, I'm not sure. So just kind of overall in terms of the solo thing, I think I've gotten the reception that I was kind of looking for from it, that I think it's got enough of a, enough people are listening to it that I think I'm going to keep it going. In terms of where I'm going to go next with it, though, I was thinking about doing another big budget franchise because there are some that are available that, especially on the streaming sites that I subscribe to. So, with the new Mission Impossible film coming out, all the Mission Impossibles are available on Paramount, which we subscribe to, so I could have done that. We have Disney Plus, so, I was thinking Marvel Phase 1, for example, 6 movies, I could have done that easily. But I think what I'm going to do is go into maybe not a full-on direct-to-video series, but one that kind of, goes kind of back and forth, right, between theatrical and direct-to-video. I think that's maybe where I'm going to go, because I think just in doing this Fast and Furious one, it was a lot of fun. It got me back in the theater, which I hadn't been in the theater since the pandemic started. Or I went once. I went and saw the Joel Coen Macbeth film with Denzel Washington. I saw that in the theater, but my first kind of big budget blockbuster trip to the theater in a long time. So it got me back into doing that, which was fun. And I think it was kind of fun to look back at how the film industry was around that time in terms of sort of how blockbusters or the way that the film industry was really centering around blockbusters to a large extent and how Fast and the Furious grew through that. By the same token, I think, talking about things like box office gross and the way that the big studios think about those things, that's kind of not what we do here as much. And it was fun to kind of step outside of that for a little bit, but I think getting back into sort of our wheelhouse here with that, I think, is probably more in line with what people come to the site for, come to the podcast for. So we're going to kind of dip back into that. And I think, if I go with the one I'm thinking about, I think you'll enjoy it. I don't want to say it too quickly, though. I'm going to wait. Let's get the Fast and Furious one out of the way first, and then I will kind of start moving into that. But that's the plan there. In terms of upcoming episodes after the Fast and Furious one next week, we've got some guests lined up. So nothing's recorded yet, but we do have guests lined up. So Mitch from Video Vacuum, looking to record with him soon. Ty from Comeuppance, of course. He's kind of more of a collaborator, right? But we see him more often. So we've got, plenty of Willis films left in the can for us to do, but we'll probably look at some others in addition. One of the things that Ty and I are finding out is that two Willises are sometimes too much. We're going to talk about this in the episode a little bit, but we did have an idea that we thought we'd do all of the Detective Night movies in one go. Now we're thinking maybe it's going to be too much. We might break them up amongst different ones. So anyway, so plan to see Ty in the near future again as well after today's episode. Also Will from Exploding Helicopter. We're looking to have him back on as well. So again, these are tentative things because again, it's the summer. Always an adventure when you're scheduling the summer, whether it's my schedule or the guest schedule, things always tend to change. I say the summer, right? But then when you get to the fall, right, it's kids going back to school and having things going on, which I don't have any kids, but a lot of people that are on the podcast with me do have kids, so there's that part of it. Holiday season, of course, right? We're getting near Christmas. That's always an adventure too. So kind of year round. People have things going on year round, so it's always not easy to schedule. But looking forward to what we've got coming up in the near future here on the podcast. As far as the blog goes, you may have noticed on Letterboxd. So if you're not following me on Letterboxd, the Direct Video Connoisseur on Letterboxd, I have a list called, I believe it's called Upcoming Reviews Watched. That's what the list view or the list that I have up there is. And that's essentially the movies I'm planning to review in the near future. So you may have noticed, if you do follow on there, that I had 4 Got 10 as the next movie up, and it has since been replaced with Best Man, one of the new Doll films to come out. So yes, the ongoing saga with me and the cable company, they finally lowered the price on Best Man, so it fell within the qualifications for the dollar rental. So I did take advantage of the dollar rental. I watched it. So we'll be reviewing that one on Saturday. In terms of Dolph, that's going to be his 68th film on the site. So we're inching ever closer to 70 for him. I mean, essentially, we can hit 70 pretty easily because we've got 4 Got 10. That one, I'll be doing that one eventually. And then we have Come Out Fighting, which is a new one that's currently still at that $7.99 range, but it's a new one that came out this year for him as well. So I can just do both of those and we'll get it. It's going to be interesting to see where we go from there with him because, I mean, I would say 4 Got 10 is probably like the last of the ones where he was like at least a supporting star that we have left to do other than Come Out Fighting. When you look at some of the other ones, you've got things like Sharknado 5, that, he's in at the very end of that, right? He appears at the very end of that movie. So technically it counts for him. I will say since we've come back, and so we were on hiatus until 2019. Since we've been back from that hiatus, the lowest performing post that I've had out of all of them has been Sharknado 3, I think, when I did the Sharknado 3 post. That one still has, fewer views than kind of any other ones that have come out at that time. I think people we're tired of Sharknado. They're kind of tired of the asylum, kind of tired of that whole thing, and they just don't really care. And so that's why I kind of stopped on the Sharknadoes, because I would have done 4 and then 5. So, I mean, eventually I'll probably do it just because of the Dolph, but that's one that I've kind of been staying away from. There's a couple others that he has. He has a movie called Small Apartments. It's on Netflix. I shouldn't say he has the movie, not on Netflix, on Tubi. But I think he has a small role in that film. There's a movie called Fat Slags with Jerry O'Connell that is just kind of, I don't even know how I'd get a copy of it. It's just kind of floating around out there. I guess Fat Slags was like a comedy, a duo, 2 women that would do this comedy routine where they would put fat suits on or whatever in England. I don't know exactly how that works, but Dolph's in that one. This movie called, I think it's called SEAL Team 6 or something like that. That's a Netflix cartoon about SEALs where he voices one of the SEALs. So there are other Dolphs out there that we can get to. So it's not like when we finish these 2 that we'll be done with Dolph, but we'll kind of be done with Dolph. Like, I think after those 2, I'm not really going to kind of dig into those other ones until, we get to another point. He does have other movies coming out too. He has one called Wanted Man that he directed that could be coming out this year, so we'll keep our eye out for that. But either way, I mean, we're probably going to get Dolph to 70 films on the site at some point, which is going to be kind of crazy because when you consider like the second highest is Gary Daniels, who's kind of still sitting on 57. We want to try to get him to 60 this year. So the thing that's holding him up is that he has a movie called Repeater that's out now, and it is on Tubi. I might be saving that for a potential podcast episode, so that's why I haven't watched that one yet. There's another movie called Astro that's been in the can for a long time of his that I've got to finally review. Then he did a movie called The Gardener with Robert Bronzi, and for whatever reason, that movie came out 3 or 4 years ago, and it's still only available to rent. And I mean, eventually, I guess I could bite the bullet and just pay $4 for it, but it just feels like it belongs on Tubi. I've been kind of waiting for that, so there's that part of it. From there, his Christian films are actually available on Tubi now. And, I mean, so I could always dig into those, too, if we need to get him over 60. But I don't know. We'll see. I've done one of his Christian films. I did a movie called The Mark. So the sequel to The Mark is also available on Tubi. But, yeah, I did that movie a long time ago. It had Eric Roberts in it as well. Drawing a blank on the guy's name. The guy from Nightbreed, who is kind of popular or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up right now because it's just going to struggle. Like, I don't know. It's like Craig something or I think you know who I'm talking about, but I just can't think of his name. He was also in a Seagal movie that was like a take on The Punisher. If you remember that one, Code of Honor, I think, or something like that. Anyway, whatever. So that's available if we want to get into Gary Daniels, but we'll see. Again, like I said, Repeater is kind of being saved for a potential podcast episode, so that's why he's kind of stalled out. But while he's stalled out, right, Dolph is just going to keep cruising over 70, and then, we'll see what happens there. But, after Best Man, we've got Eliminators with Scott Adkins. So, Scott Adkins also has a new film. He's got a new Accident Man film that's on Hulu. Again, same thing. Might be using it in a podcast episode, so I'm saving it for right now. So that's why we're going to go with Eliminators next for him. And then after that, I think when we're in terms of the month that we have here, I'm going to finally do Most Dangerous Game, which is one that Ty and I did in a previous podcast episode, with the one where we talked about Casper Van Dien. That movie was a lot of fun, so I'm going to enjoy writing up a review on that. All right, but with that, why don't we get started here? So we'll have John Cross play us in with the theme song here, and then up next, Ty and I are going to be talking about Paradise City and Gunfight at Rio Bravo. with the DTVC podcast, and I am joined by frequent collaborator to the show, Ty from Comeuppance Reviews. Welcome back.
Hey, I'm back. Thanks for having me back on again.
Yeah, we're doing a one Willis instead of two Willises today. We've got a Willis and a Nevsky coming up. So
Nevsky is back.
Exactly.
After the last Nevsky, which was Red Prophecies. But
yeah,
it was a little light in the Nevsky.
Right. We felt like we needed more Nevsky. We felt like we also needed some undubbed Nevsky as well.
Well, was he dubbed? I don't think he was dubbed.
No, he wasn't. No, everybody else was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why did he dub Michael Madsen? I don't understand. We know he's dubbed. It's
right.
Like,
yeah.
What was his name? Oh, I think his name was Tyler, actually.
You're right. He was. Yes, he was some Russian oligarch named Tyler.
Oligarch. Oh, Russian oligarch. American. It's like, uh-huh. But I wish he did say that in his voice. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Yeah. And of course, and let's not forget about John Payne, played by Eric Roberts.
Yeah. I mean, those are two guys, Madsen and Roberts, that if you're going to do dubbed versions, they're not coming back to do their own voiceovers. I
mean, you might have a chance to even maybe get Seagal for like one line.
Yeah.
If you can't get that, but you can maybe get what is surprising. Well, Seagal is not connected to it, but like similar in the Nevsky movie we're talking about.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We've got some Seagal overtones when we get to that one for sure. Now you mentioned a Casper Van Dien film that you found.
Well, I was on Instagram as I usually am because that's where I live, and Casper Van Dien's post came up. Oh, watch Country Line, No Fear on the Inspiration Network. So I was like, wait, the Inspiration Network? Right. So I looked that up. Oh, it's that old channel called Grit. Mm-hmm. So I recorded it, but I didn't watch it yet because it came on yesterday and I was busy. But I did record it. So it's like a Western. He's like evil or something. So
he's been playing a lot of baddies lately, hasn't he?
Good. That's fun. I don't know what he does. I think he's an evil sheriff. I saw the ad from his page. I was like, okay, I'll check this ad on just randomly at 2 p.m. on the Inspiration Network on the East Coast. It's like, okay.
Is it Country Line, No Fear? Is that
Country Line, No Fear.
No Fear. Yeah. So that's what he's got. Like Zed Dalton, he plays Zed. Zed's dead, baby.
Oh, his name is Zed. I didn't even go that far. That's amazing. Zed Dalton. That's great.
Yeah, it's got Tom Wopat from
the Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard as well. Yeah. So.
And why couldn't they get John Schneider? Like,
I don't know. No. And then Patricia Richardson, right? She played the mom on.
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement, right?
It's not a bad cast.
Yeah,
start watching this.
these Christian movies do sometimes deliver.
It's a Christian movie, or it's a Christian Western,
right? Maybe not though. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's not.
I think it's either the Western or it's a Christian Western. It's like
could be. So maybe it isn't. Maybe you're right. Maybe it isn't. I was thinking Inspiration Network just sounded like it was a Christian.
Well, I think they changed it from the Grit, when it made more sense for Westerns.
Okay.
And then there's like a little hat symbol, so I guess it's like half Westerns and half like inspirational TV. I think maybe Highway to Heaven. I don't know. Something.
Right.
I'll have to check their guide.
Yeah, that's always.
I love the ending to Highway to Heaven, and that's a spoiler. I just look it up.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like, let's say it rivals Bruno Mattei movies, stuff like that. Yeah. That's how you end the show.
Yeah, that was an interesting one because that one used to be on like Saturday afternoons, like after the cartoons were done. It was just weird. It's like, oh, it's a Highway to Heaven, and it like when it was syndicated, it had its own like commercial, like go to commercial like graphics and things like that. It was just very it was a weird, and I was always kind of like, what is this? The dad from Little House on the Prairie on another show?
Well, I never really watched. I think I watched the one that had Shan Tweed.
Oh, yes.
That was it. But I don't think it's a bad show. I just don't have the time to really watch it right now because it's like 400 episodes.
Yeah.
Or no, what did I say I would have? I meant Little House on the Prairie ending is amazing.
Oh, right. So okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's an amazing ending that rivals many Italian action exploding hot movies. Every show should end like that. Did you ever see the ending? I know it's kind of a weird show, but there was a show called Taxi Brooklyn. It came out about almost 10 years ago now.
I never watched that. I used to see it on The Soup. Joel McHale used to make fun of it.
Did he must have made fun of the ending of the finale. It was like
Yeah. Oh yes, yes, he did. Yes.
where like there was like 400 cliffhangers in one scene, which is amazing. I need to watch this show. Well, now there's no season 2, obviously, but that's amazing.
No.
That's how you had the show.
Yeah.
Just
So
5 cliffhangers at once.
so for people who don't know about it, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea, right, is that is the idea that like the detective loses her license and the taxi driver's driving her around, or it's like,
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
basically like Taxi, the show or the
It,
movie, right? I never saw the movie of Jimmy Fallon. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But it's like, love Taxi. Someone's asking about Taxi. He's like, I loved it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But I know he really does not mean it.
right, exactly.
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You
never
can't.
saw it. Looked like
I don't think you
junk.
can be in a movie with Queen Latifah and say you didn't like it, though. I think, right? Like, I think
Oh,
you're
yeah, you get in
contractually
trouble.
obligated to say you like that movie.
I haven't seen many Queen Latifah movies that I'm thinking about it. I know what she's like, and what I wanted to call Last Holiday or something. I never saw that. And I'm not watching Chicago. And I'm not sure I can remember the Queen Latifah movies off the top of my head. But
I don't know. So Chicago's the only one that I've ever saw. So I saw Chicago however long ago because I was like kind of on a kick to like see movies that were nominated for Oscars and just kind of see like
right, and people do that. It's like I'm gonna watch all 2002's nominees.
right, yeah.
When it
So
was
then
only 5 nominees, it was easier instead of 15 or whatever they have now.
yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, I remember I was visiting a buddy, and I would wake up a lot earlier than him and like his brother and whoever else was there. But for whatever reason, this time they woke up, and I was in the middle of watching it. I thought I could like kind of sneak it in before they all woke up, and they were all just kind of like, "What is this?" And I was kind of like, "I don't know. I honestly don't know either. We're watching it. It's on. I don't we don't have to watch it, But they were like, oh, it's kind of one of those things. People do that, and I don't know if, I've always been in that
yes,
situation myself where it's like you come in and somebody's watching something and you don't really want to watch it, but you don't want to tell the person who's watching it that you don't want to watch it. And
yes,
when they offer to turn it off, there's almost a sense of like, if I say yes, that I don't want to watch this, I don't know, like there's a sense that I'm buying into like being a bad person about it, about not wanting to watch it when, they're giving me a lifeline and saying, no, you don't have to watch this. And so, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I do people lifelines. Well, I was watching MacGyver and that happened. It's like, well, all right, I watched MacGyver. It's just like the original MacGyver. Every episode's almost an hour, by the way.
Yeah.
He's in the jungle again. I mean, I'm on season 2. Gotta get him out of the jungle. He's out of the jungle. It's a better show.
Yeah.
Because again, give it a rest. Or not.
TV shows like had this thing where they just they would get to this point where they just didn't know what to do with themselves. But like if they were successful enough, they had to keep slogging along because they needed to get to that rerun syndication state. Yeah. And so they would just push. I mean, like Little House on the Prairie, like you were talking about. I think like they had family members dying off, family members growing blind, or maybe that was the Waltons where they went blind. I don't know. Like
the
just
Waltons.
like, yeah, right. Like, yeah, you can't even keep them all straight, right? Like what they're doing with them all. It's just, yeah,
they had to just keep pushing them out there because it's like, all right, we'll get to it.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking, there was a show that I was thinking about that with, and I was, you know what it was? It was Leave It to Beaver, actually. It was kind of a, so I was watching Leave It to Beaver with my wife because it was on like early in the morning, and, the kids had gotten older, right? So the Beaver was like, in high school age or something like that. Like he was a lot older. Wow. And I was like, man, if this was the 80s, Ward and June would have had an extra baby at this point, to kind of keep the show going. Like, and, it seemed like it was never an idea that they were going to ever do on Leave It to Beaver, but for whatever reason in the 80s they were just like, no, we got to add kids, like these parents who have whether it was the Keatons or the Seavers or whoever, it was just like, yeah, you're at a certain age, we need to add kids to the show because it's just not working with all the kids being too old.
Sometimes you get kind of hooked into these older shows like the Waltons or even black and white like Dark Shadows or Darby Gillis. I watched a few of those just for fun, and it's like, those really aren't bad programs at all, actually. No. You get kind of hooked in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those shows, especially like the first few seasons of a lot of those shows are always really good. It's like, usually you get towards the end, you're like, okay. But even too, when you get towards the end and they're a little bit off too, sometimes you'll see like guest stars and you'll be like, oh, look at that, that's Robert Culp, or that's,
I call him Bob Culp, actually.
Bob Culp, yeah. It's like, young Bob Culp. Excuse me, I'm going to lose my voice there.
Oh, okay. You're talking Michael Madsen in a minute.
I know. I'm getting Madsen-y there. I figured I clear my throat, but I figured I would do it with the.
Well, that's Rooker too. Like,
yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm in another Bruce Willis movie, and I'm too old to do the heavy lifting for
I
this.
know.
Yeah.
Yes. I love them in Corrective Measures, where
Yes.
I think Charlie Rhodes had less of a black screen between them.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Yes.
we should probably talk about what you were watching, right?
Yeah.
You saw Fast 20, or what was it?
Fast, yeah, and so I guess it's Fast 10, but I call it Fast X because the X. But then of
Sounds
course that makes me think it's like a better version of Gas X. And I know we were talking about this idea that like Vin Diesel as Dominic Toretto is doing like an ad campaign for Gas X, but as
well,
fast,
he's getting up to that age, because he's like
right,
65 years old. He should be, using head on and applying directly to the forehead.
exactly.
So it's like other ones I can't remember at the moment. So it's just
Yeah, yeah. You just see he's like, when I have a family barbecue, I just or I don't know, yeah. It's just like,
well, we said that you had this special Toretto soda.
I did. So I went to an AMC
Yeah.
dine-in, which I'd never been to a dine-in
Interesting.
before. Yeah, and so so to give people some context here in Philadelphia, there used to be a mall called the Gallery. And if you ever want to check it out, if you go onto YouTube, if you look up Dan Bell Gallery, so Dan Bell is this YouTuber who used to go to dead malls, and he went to the Gallery before they shut it down. It was this 3-story kind of thing near the train station. The last time I was there, I took this. Thai au pair that I was tutoring. Her and her friend wanted to get KFC. On my way out, I get yelled at by a homeless guy who's waiting near the train station. And I was taking the trolley home, and I bumped into a couple friends. And one of them was like, "Yeah, I think I'd be shocked if you didn't get yelled at by a homeless guy when you were at the Gallery." So I was like, it was an interesting experience. But they leveled it and turned it into this thing called the Fashion District. And the idea is that Philadelphia, I think they want to have like a contiguous tourist lane that goes from where the old city area is all the way to the museum, and in the middle of there's like a Hard Rock Cafe, and then there was this gallery place that they turned into this thing called the Fashion District. So it's really just a mall, right? It's just and so in the mall they have a movie theater, an AMC dine-in, which I'd never done one of these before. So it's got like these cushiony reclining chairs. You can get like a burger. You can get like a full meal if you want to eat. Of course, I just went classic large popcorn, large soda. But with the sodas, they have those Coke Freestyle machines.
That's slick. Yeah, we don't have that at North Haven Theater in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's like
you pick it from the
right. You just push the button. And you can like pick. It's like you can push buttons on them. It's like a fountain machine, but you can push.
Yeah, that's at other restaurants, but not at the theater.
Yeah, exactly. I had never seen anything like that either. Because usually, right, like the theaters that I've been to, it's like even here in Philadelphia, it's like you just order a soda and then they ask you what you want. You say, "Oh, give me a Coke," and then they fill it up with Coke right behind the counter.
You can ask for the Toretto twist.
Right. So I asked. So they had a thing called the Toretto. When you look at the buttons, there was a circle that said the Toretto twist. So I clicked on it, and of course I had to get it. Right. I'm watching Fast X. I've got to get the Toretto twist, and it was like Mr. Pibb Extra. So it's this drink that I don't know what Mr. Pibb Extra is.
With an X, right? Extra
right,
for
right with an X for exactly. It's the XTRA, and then it's like a mix of like some lime. It's like lime soda or something. It's like a few different things. I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. I think if anybody's going to see Fast X, which to be honest, I don't think you have a lot of time to see it left because it's already going out of theaters. Like this was the only theater in Philly that had it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's already going out. I think it's like in anticipation of the Transformers movie, and then I think you've got the Flash coming, and next month is Mission Impossible. So it's like nowadays they just get movies out of the theater a lot quicker. It seems like they're just
it's fast. It's Fast X. 2 weeks.
X, exactly.
So what happened in Fast X with Vin Diva? That's what I call him, to Vin Diesel.
It was one of the things I was trying to figure out, because I realized I had not seen a movie like this, like a blockbustery, like kind of big thing. I hadn't seen a movie like this since I saw the second Star Trek movie, of the new version, the Chris Pine Star Trek.
Oh, Star Trek Into Darkness, as I call it.
Right, exactly. It was the one that had who was it?
Benedict Cumberbatch, right?
Benedict Cumberbatch, right? Exactly. Yeah. So that was the only one that I hadn't seen, and that's the last time I saw something like that big. All the other times I've been to the theater, it was more like like I saw like Lawrence of Arabia recently, or last year I went and saw the Macbeth that one of the Coen brothers did with Denzel Washington. It was good. It was actually good. Denzel Washington is really good in it. It's dark. I mean, they pull the darkness from Macbeth in there, so it's worth checking out. But again, it's not like.
See that.
Yeah, and it was at an indie theater here in Philly, the Ritz. So it's like obviously it's like kind of your more standard deal. Yeah. So this is like, I'm like in these reclining seats. I mean, like the room, the leg room that you have in these seats is so ridiculous because I mean, like there were people that came into my aisle and I was like getting ready to get up so they could go through. And then I realized like, no, they've got like a good 2 feet of space to get by.
I know, you're so used to that, right? When you move your feet up.
Right,
It's like,
right.
okay, move your feet up. Don't spill the popcorn.
Right. And I've got a tray table. I've got like a cup holder.
Wow.
So it was a whole crazy setup. But the thing is, when you go to the one of the things I realized that I liked it. Right. I really enjoyed Fast X, but I was wondering, was I enjoying it because it was a good movie, or was I enjoying it because I hadn't seen a movie like that in the theater in so long? So I'm like getting that whole immersive explosion.
Yeah, it
experience.
might be the latter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been seeing I saw the ad. Now it's out, but it's like, was it Jason Momoa and what?
Yeah.
And what does he give me some spoilers if you don't mind?
Momoa
does he fight Vin Diesel?
They do have a fight. It's not much of a fight, but they have a little fight. But actually, Momoa kind of lets Vin Diesel beat him up, and then of course it's like one of those things. With Fast X, it's like any of those ones where it's like, oh, Vin Diesel looks like he's getting the upper hand on Momoa, but wait a second, and suddenly some guy with a helicopter comes by with a sniper rifle and starts picking
I know.
people up.
Oh, that's so predictable. Okay.
Yeah.
Why can't you just have like a good down and dirty fight? You don't get those anymore.
No, well, like in Fast Five, right? Remember the great fight between Diesel and the Rock?
The Rock, that was good. Didn't they have he had like a humongous wrench or something?
Right, exactly. Yes.
I think I laughed I just laughed my head off. It was like, what? Why is it why is the wrench bigger than the Rock's head?
Right,
and
right.
I enjoyed. I missed. Well, no, I do. I think I am caught up except for this newest Fast X movie.
Yeah,
I laughing at Vin Diesel's. He's like 50 plus years old. He should not really be doing. He shouldn't be driving a car. He should be getting a chauffeur. And it's like, and when he was skateboarding in XXX3, it's like he was like Hans Moleman as Bart Simpson.
Right,
exactly. I mean, it's funny. I mean, you can have a laugh.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, so it's interesting because I don't know like where this would be in terms of like, if you got this on demand, right? Like if you were watching this at home and you had it on just kind of your regular TV, like I don't know if it translates enough to be like fantastic on that level. It is like, it's kind of like they're starting to bring the band back together. So they're bringing people back and they're kind of teasing that other people are coming back in the next one. So you're getting a sense. I mean, one of the things this movie does lack is there's no Rock, and they tease that he's going to be in the next one, but you could use some Rock energy in this one with the way things were. So there's that. I mean, again, Momoa, I was surprised. Momoa is a good villain. Like this is kind of the first like absolute psychopath villain that they have. I mean, I guess Cole Hauser kind of is. Cole Hauser was kind of a psycho.
What was in the first one or second one?
The second one, which I am pulling for him to get brought back. I would like because he just got arrested. He wasn't killed off,
Well, that's right. You've watched the complete season. I don't remember what happens to Cole Hauser in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Right, exactly.
This is the great song, though.
Yeah. The funny thing about Too Fast, Too Furious is that Tyrese in that one is actually like that's his best performance out of any of them, and it's like they just turn him into this like goofy.
Yeah, I know what they changed his character as like a kind of a goofball, doesn't really do anything.
Right. When you watch him in Too Fast, Too Furious, he has some goofy elements, but for the most part, him and Paul Walker have really great chemistry. Like it's better chemistry than Diesel and Paul Walker had. They're a better pair in Too Fast, Too Furious, which was something I had I didn't really pick up on the first time I watched it. I think I was more like, oh, this doesn't have Vin Diesel, and I was a big Vin Diesel fan at that time. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think I watched that a while ago. It's like, oh, right, no Vin Diesel. But that's okay.
Yeah.
It's.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say that you don't miss him in Too Fast, Too Furious. Like, oh, okay, Dominic Toretto's gone. Okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, and the other thing too, I think when you talk about like one of the big things that they were selling at the AMC theater before. So the other thing, of course, is it's like a huge chunk of trailers right before I watch the movie. Mm-hmm. It's like, there's a trailer for the new Dune movie that's coming out. Trailer for the Captain Marvel movie where it's got all the different Captain Marvels. Trailer for the new Mission Impossible, for the new Flash movie. I think it was that. What's that one that Christopher Nolan has coming out that's about
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, right? So they have a trailer
we should
for
go
that.
right to the library.
Right.
This July, and libraries everywhere.
Exactly.
Oppenheimer.
I know, and it was going to get crushed by Barbie. Probably, I have to say, it's probably going to get killed by
It looks like a movie for the library. Barbie is Barbie, so it's like. I don't understand the plot of Barbie. I mean, I'm seeing the ads. It's like, wait, so she goes into the real world. and then Will Ferrell's evil or something. I couldn't really put it together.
Yeah,
It's like, what?
I don't know either.
They're
And
doing
again, like
something.
a lot of
like,
these movies. Oh, go ahead.
well, I think it looks like it's a mixture of like, what she's like goes into the future like Stargate or something. It's like, what's going on? Or Food Fight. You know, if you ever watched clips of that, it's like, so there's an outside world, or like a real world, and then there's like a fake toy world. So it's like Toy Story.
Yeah.
So it just seems like from the ads.
Yeah, so maybe it's kind of an old throwback to those 90s kind of movies that we used to, yeah.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go to the trek to the theater for Barbie. Maybe I'll secretly watch on demand or something.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing with going to the theater that I realized yesterday is it like, you know, the movie started at 11:30. I have to get there a little early, right? Because I had my backpack with me because I was running errands, so I had to double check to make sure they'd let me bring my backpack in, which they were. Like, 'cause I was like, man, do I want to bring my backpack or not? And I just figured, you know what, I'm just going to ask them. If they say no, I'll just call it a wash and not see the movie. But she was like, yeah, we don't care, you know. So I went in with my backpack and I got my food. And that was the other thing too, is they had an ad for this deluxe like bundle of Fast and Furious like snack pack where you get like 2 sodas and drink, but you get like special commemorative Fast and Furious cups. But the problem was, well, I didn't get the cups because the way that they do menus now, it's not like one static menu, right? It's like a screen that keeps rotating things. And, you know, here in Philly, like anywhere in the Northeast, right, when you're going to like, when you're in line, right, when it's your turn, you better know what you want to get right away. There's no time to sit and wait for this thing to come back around through, you know? So I was just like, no, I'm just going straight ahead, you know, large popcorn, large soda. They had a bundle for that. I just got that instead.
Well, I know you wanted your Jason Momoa cup.
I wanted, yeah. Well, I think what it is I think it's the cover that you see on IMDb, like the poster. I think it's just wrapped around the cup.
Oh, so it's a Vin Diesel face wrapped around the cup?
Right, with like everybody else kind of around him. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So it's, unfortunately it's not like, it would be great if there's like, you could get like a collection of them, like 6.
That's what I thought it was. I think that's what they used to do. You know, my friend has hey, you know, Mo, I think he found a Team Jacob cup from Twilight. Right. So we just made fun of him forever for that.
Right. Yeah, I'm like that. Like when I go to a baseball game, it's always like, or any kind of sporting event, I'm like, yeah, I want to get the souvenir cup. You know, so I've got like this whole stack of like tons of souvenir cups. Well. Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, it's you're getting a little something for the money, you know, beyond the experience.
Well, you would think that Olive Garden would be connected to
the family
because it's about family.
Yeah.
He always is about family.
See,
well, it sounds like Stallone, but like,
I think I know why though. From watching the movie, like there's a lot of it's interesting. I don't know what the movie is. I think the movie's rated PG-13, but it's kind of not I mean, it's PG-13.
PG-13.
Right, it's only PG-13 because there's not a lot of blood, I think, because otherwise this movie has a lot of killing in it. Like there are a lot of people dying. And I do think probably from Olive Garden's standpoint, they probably don't want to be associated with that amount of killing. Though I guess Gas X maybe wouldn't either, but I don't know.
Well, you never know. Like I said, hopefully Vin Diesel will start doing these ads for like, you know, timeshares and stuff. It's just like, would not be funny. It's like, Vin Diesel over timeshares. It's just like,
I mean, Vin Diesel is ready to be on the cover of AARP, right? I mean, 50
he's
years
really
older,
close. That's not even a joke. He's really close to being 60, unless he's. If I were him, I'd shave off a couple of years.
Hey, well, because the other one, thinking about the Mission Impossible movie coming out, Tom Cruise turned 60 last year, and so that's definite AARP.
Looking a little bit his age. I mean, like,
yeah,
I want to see the movie, but I don't like this. It's part 1, very small type. Trying to trick me, huh?
Well, that's what they also did. They did that with Fast X. Fast X is a part 1. So keep that in mind too, that it ends on a cliffhanger, right? Or it ends at kind of like a point where it's like it's ready to do some stuff. And so, yeah, it's a part 1 as well. And I heard, so I don't know if it's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. I had heard that they were thinking about a part 3 that like, and so it's interesting because
so they go right to part 3. It's like Surf 2.
Right, right, exactly. Because I don't know like what the deal is. Because this movie didn't do as well as they wanted it to. I guess it's like it started off really good and then it kind of faded, and so I don't know if that means like they're already signed on for the part 2, no matter what. Like the part 2 is going to happen, but I guess like he had wanted it to be a part 1 and a part 2, and then. They I guess the studio came to him and said they'd like a part 3, which from Universal's standpoint I kind of get it because they only have Jurassic Park. That's like the only other thing that they have.
Oh, really? They need this. So it's like...
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess they have the Minions movies, and Shrek or something like that, but they don't have another
I don't.
yeah. And I mean, you can only do
Well, they
so many
need more
Jurassic Parks, but
franchises.
yeah,
I mean, I guess
exactly.
almost they could have Megan. That was
Right.
a big
Oh,
hit,
that's
right?
right. That's a good point. Yeah, but see, they want things that can do 1 billion in the theater. They don't
Yeah,
have.
Megan's not doing 1 billion, but Fast X would probably do 1 billion, or
Well, they were
Minions and
hoping it
Fast
would.
X.
It's
Well,
at
I guess
600 million now. I don't think it's going to get there, but they thought it was. They thought it was going to be one of those billionaires, and so
maybe you have fast fatigue.
exactly right.
That's probably the best way to end it. We have to talk about movies, don't we? Don't we
We
have
did well.
two movies
Great,
to talk
great
about?
segue from Vin Diesel into Alexander Nevsky, I guess.
Perfect.
Right.
That is perfect because they're both kind of monosyllabic dum-dums
Right.
in a
I
nice
mean,
way.
yeah. I mean, Nevsky is definitely however many notches below Vin Diesel. To be fair to Vin Diesel,
Well,
but
he's moving up.
he is right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, should I give it a synopsis?
Go right ahead,
Should I
please.
go
Oh,
jump
well,
into?
here's what we're talking about. We're talking about Gunfight at Rio Bravo and Paradise City with Bruce Willis and John Travolta and Stephen Dorff and Ava.
Yeah, and so with the Nevsky one, we kind of wanted to give him another chance because Red
Yes.
Prophecies with the dubbing, it just was, kind of was off, and we thought let's try one of these ones that he has. We saw that this was one on Tubi. We thought why not go for it? It has some
Yeah,
names in
sure.
it. Olivier Gruner, I think he's in both of our halls of fame, right? I think he's in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to double check I haven't checked my Hall of Fame on the website in a while. That was kind of hastily. No, I won't say hastily, but just kind of
Right.
we put it together quickly.
Yeah. Right. No. Exactly. Yeah.
I haven't
Matthias
checked in.
Hues.
It might be
I don't.
photo bucket related.
Yeah, I mean Matthias Hues. We did our own we did each of our top 5 Matthias Hues. And spoiler alert, I don't think this would make either of our top
No,
5 Matthias Hues
I wouldn't even
lists.
go on Song Hues.
Right, exactly.
It's like, Hues are you on your podcast feed today?
Right.
But it's
Yes. Yeah. If people want to hear about some good Hues, check that. Yeah, because Hues is like one of the backbones of 90s, late 80s, early 90s DTV action. He's one of the ones who really makes it go.
I think it was our number one. I Come in Peace. Kind of had to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right. We were talking about it. Yeah, because we were talking about this when we did the Fahey one that we couldn't remember when we both had it the same number one, but actually Hues I think was it. Yeah,
it had to be because I mean I can't think of any Matthias Hues movies top of my head right now.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to see that movie called Hostile Environment.
Yeah.
Never got around to it. Maybe it's on YouTube. I haven't checked in. Oh yeah. So Gunfight at Rio Bravo. Okay, we'll have to get to.
Yeah, I'll go. So let me give it a quick synopsis.
Go ahead, because get ready for tangents.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be probably
tangents at Rio Bravo. Because that's what
exactly. So the movie takes place in an East Texas that looks suspiciously like Arizona. We've got Alexander Nevsky as a guy named Ivan Turchinov, who we're going to get to in a little bit. But he is sort of this lone gunman guy who's living in this town, and while he's kind of hanging out there in the town. Olivier Gruner shows up. He's a marshal. He shows up with Matthias Hues as his prisoner. Matthias Hues turns out he's like the leader of a really bad gang of guys that are murderers and stuff. And so Olivier Gruner needs to take a break. He needs to take a load off him and his deputy. So they ask the sheriff
for a while.
Exactly. So, they're like, Sheriff, can we drop off Matthias Hues at your jail cell? And the sheriff's like, sure, drop him off. That's no problem. And of course, Matthias Hues' gang wants to bust him out of jail, so they lay siege to the town. Fortunately, Alexander Nevsky just happens to be a former brigadier general in the Civil War, and he is there to lead everybody to take down these baddies and save the day. And I guess that's it, right?
That's basically it. So it was hard to write. I watched the second. I should have watched this first when you're doing the movies.
Yes, I did second as well. I
had to. I probably should have done it first because Paradise City we have a little more to talk about coming soon after the break. But
exactly.
So what I wrote is not much. I said outlaw Josie Nevsky.
Yes.
That would be. And I wrote down instead of Scott Eastwood. It's now Alexander Eastwood. But it's like, the problem with this movie is that he doesn't really kill anybody. It's barely a Western, really. It's like a typical Western plot. Like, okay, the guy's in jail, and Nevsky's really cool, and it takes 5 minutes for him to light a cigarette or cigar.
Yes.
And it's like, and I'd be like, I will say it was nice that it was about 75 minutes.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yes.
I think it's just like Fast X because I saw there's a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they filmed them both at the same time. Yeah, so it's coming with Rothrock and Don the Dragon are going to be in the sequel.
That'll be good because I hope it has more of a ending. Because I mean, like, I don't know. I think if you like Nevsky, I would check it out.
Yeah.
What else did I say? I told you not much. Let's see. Back to Fast X.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, right,
it was nice to see Hues. It was good to see Hues in a pretty substantial role.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of make this more exciting.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead,
I would
please.
say the problem is that Hues is such a fun baddie, right? And yes, his gang are bad, right? Like his gang are like kind of just a bunch of like gross, like, you know, Don Swayze types. It's almost like
they all put to Don Swayze. They all look like
right. Yeah, it's like we couldn't get a single Don Swayze for this, but they just went out and found as many Don Swayze types as they could to make up Matthias Hues' gang. And yes, it's plenty fun to see those guys getting shot and killed by whoever, you know. So that we want to see. But Hues, like, chewing up scenery from the prison cell, it's like, I want to see him win, you know? Like, he's much more compelling than Alexander Nevsky's hero character.
Let's switch it around. Yes. You know, Nevsky can play the villain.
Right.
And Hues can be the hero.
Yeah.
And then maybe more of a plot, more of expansion of what's going on in the town also would be good.
Right, well, that too.
Not to be, you know, but there was much on screen. You know what I mean? Like, a handful of people.
Yeah,
kind of a bunch of nothing. I'm not saying I hate it or something, but it's like, well, you had something. Westerns are probably hard to make. You know, it's like you got to make like a dusty town nowadays. Yeah. Well, I watched the Nicolas Cage Western called The Old Way. It was really fun. You have Hulu.
Yeah,
it says it's for. It's one of the big things on the Hulu screen now. It says it's for Brett Donahue fans. The Old Way. It's like there's a fan of the director of The Old Way? It's like, I mean, okay. I mean, like, I kind of laugh. Like, how about Nicolas Cage fans, not Brett Donahue fans?
Yeah, I love that.
And that wasn't very good either, The Old Way. I think it was shot during a certain virus, and there's like not much there. You know, he doesn't. To bring the westerns, you need to have a good gun. You know, tell Gunfight Rio Bravo, a little light on the guns. And the gunfighting till the end.
Well, because I mean, did you come up with the sense? I know what you're talking about. Like you don't hate it, but you don't love it. Did you come away with the sense of like, what was the point of this movie?
Yes, because then once it's a sequel, there's not much of an ending. There's an ending, okay, but it won't say what that is. But it's like, oh, all right, so it's just a setup for the next one. See, they're doing that a lot lately. You got to have a movie with a finale. You make a sequel later, you know.
Right. It's almost like there's almost a sense of like I was watching. I mean, I say this a lot about movies nowadays, but I think this one also kind of fits that category. That like if there was a syndicated TV show about Nevsky's character, which we'll talk about in a second, where he's like sort of traveling from town to town, or if there was a syndicated TV show about Gruner as the marshal, right? If there was like this syndicated Western TV show where he's this marshal and he captures Matthias Hues in the previous episode, and then we get this part 2 here, there's enough material here to carry a 45-minute or 43-minute TV show episode.
Yeah, like the Magnificent Seven with Michael Biehn or something. Remember that show?
Yeah, and just on its own, it doesn't have enough to do that. And then Nevsky
and the movie's
himself,
75 minutes. Nevsky, go ahead with Nevsky, please.
Well, yeah, well, like what, like I don't know, like so. One of the things we find out is that he's trying to portray a real life Civil War general who, in fact, he wasn't a general during the Civil War. So the man's name is Ivan Turchin, and he was I think he was a colonel, or he was in the Civil War. And then he was made a general. I think is what it was after the fact. Like they turned him into so it wasn't like he was a general when he was out during the war doing war stuff. But this movie makes it sound like he was a general leading troops and all of this stuff, which kind of wasn't the case. The other thing is his character, is the person in real life. he has to leave the army because he suffers heat stroke, and he just goes and retires off to Chicago with his wife and becomes a civil engineer. Whereas, Nevsky tries to make it seem like he's this like gunslinger who has a goatee, which I mean,
Yeah, I know.
who has goatees in the Wild West? Like how many people have goatees and wear like 3-button Henleys that are form-fitting 3-button Henleys and stuff? It's like just the whole thing's so ridiculous. But I get like there's a sense of pride as a Russian that there was a Russian who, to be honest, I think he was Ukrainian. I think he was it was just at that time it was part of the Russian Empire.
Oh no, here we go again.
Right,
Is
exactly.
Nevsky supporting the Russian war? Or
right, exactly. Now I don't know for a fact. I don't know for a fact. So I'm just saying I think that's
no, I know, but I feel like I'm convinced that Vlad Putin has seen a Nevsky movie.
Yes, I mean,
I'm convinced.
Maybe Putin's funding these. Like maybe Putin's like trying
that
to.
That would be amazing. Yeah, produced by like Putin Vladimir, so you don't know who it is.
Exactly.
So it's like oh, okay, it's just produced by Putin Vladimir. It's not Vladimir Putin. Similar name
exactly.
though.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So it's like.
Yeah, I mean, really, Nevsky does these vanity projects where he's just like, walk into the saloon, do the
slow motion.
Right, in slow motion, the shot from the boots all the way up in slow motion.
Yes,
lighting
the
classic
cigar, Western.
And then like the whole like
definitely taking notes on the classic Westerns of old.
Yeah, and then it's like he's with this woman and they're trying to patch up the deputy's dying. Spoiler: the deputy dies in one of the early scenes. But Olivier Gruner's there with Nevsky and this woman, and Gruner's like, I remember you. You were the greatest general in the history of all the military, and you saved all these people's lives, and you're such a great guy, and all this stuff. And Nevsky just sits there like, nah, right. Whereas like inside he's like eating it up, that's a classic Steven Seagal thing, right? That's
what we're saying before in the beginning of this pod. It's like he's very Seagal like that. Like he's the best. Like I am.
Right.
And it's like, but in that Russian way, like I'm the best. I can't really do Russian.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know how all of this works. Like I don't know if he's got money from somewhere and he's just able to do this thing where he pulls together these names. Like I mean, Gruner's not doing a ton of stuff, but he's big enough name. Art Camacho is the fight coordinator and the stunt coordinator and the second unit director in this. There's names like this that Nevsky can pull. He must have a really great personality off screen that they all like.
I just wish his movies were a little bit better. I mean, maybe I should rewatch Russian. No, what's it called? Moscow Heat. Because we call it Russian Heat.
Right.
I remember watching Moscow Heat. It's like, that's pretty good. And I rewatched it maybe like 10 years ago. And like,
yeah.
But I think that was maybe his best movie. And that was a while ago now. Because his other movies are like, eh. I mean, Red Prophecies, as you know, we talked about in the previous episode we did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it's good you can get these. Oh, Showdown in Manila really wasn't that bad. That actually had a little bit more money behind it, I think. He went to the jungle and all that stuff. You got Rock.
Yeah. Well, you know what the problem was with Showdown in Manila for me was that you had DeCascos in it. You had DeCascos directed it, I think, actually. And you had at the end you've got Wilson, you got Gruner, you've got Rothrock, and then of course Casper Van Dien, chewing up, just like being a completely fun, presence the whole time with Nevsky. And it was like, Nevsky's here trying to make the movie about him, right? It's supposed to be his movie.
I know, it's so frustrating. They just cut out the Nevsky part. Actually, this would be a high quality movie. It's still a fun movie.
Yes. Because it's that thing at the end, right? When they bring on all those people, it's almost like, hey, here's the movie you could have had. But
yeah, I know.
You're just getting it for 10 minutes,
I'll take it, but like, ooh, what a missed opportunity. But at least we had that. I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where this movie, I think, sits here. And I think, it's interesting because, I mean, like, again, we've got Gruner, who we haven't seen him a lot lately. He's
been MIA a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like he's one of the ones, right, that when the whole kind of, when the theatrical thing kind of fell apart and we started to get more big names coming to the DTV world,
kind of bigger shelf near you.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's like, I think like Gary Daniels, Cynthia Rothrock's another. I mean, Don the Dragon. A lot of these names kind of like they suffered, and I think he's a big one. Like that, like it was
he's
like
one of the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, Gruner really got like the scraps.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, what's that one? Most people like. You mentioned the last podcast has Ian Ziering, James Brolin.
Oh, Savate.
Savate, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. I remember enjoying that.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that at that time he was almost like a poor man's Van Damme.
Right. And we had Daniel Bernhardt though. So
Bernhardt as well. We had two. Sorry, we had two poor man's Van Damme. But at least it was like because Van Damme was in the theater, it was okay. Now that Van Damme makes direct-to-video stuff, it's almost like, well, people are like, well, why would I want to settle for Gruner when I could just get Van Damme to do the movie?
Exactly, and like then the ladder gets more and more. The rungs get lower and lower. It's just like, oh wow.
Yeah.
They're climbing up. Oh, Van Damme's down straight to video. Oh, going back down.
Yeah.
Just like, well, that's that funny bit in Expendables 2, right? The fight between Stallone and Van Damme. It's like, I'm gonna man you up. And then, and then Van Damme says he kicks him like going back down. It's like, that's what I think of as the rung of ladders of action stars for Gruner. Like,
Gruner's like on that like fifth tier. Like he's just
unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean he's had some real bangers. We've never done a top 5 Gruner, and
we should. I think there's just enough. I'm gonna have to take a look at some other. I think there's enough.
Well, yeah, because
I think we're talking about doing that.
Yeah, because I mean you've got like what are some of the other ones? I mean, Mercenary's an interesting one.
Yeah, I like Mercenary.
Automatic, Angel Town,
Angel
Nemesis.
Town. Yeah, all right. That actually is enough. I'll talk to the Brettster, and then we can maybe set it up very soon, maybe August. Because I know we have a certain podcast we're going to be doing very soon.
Exactly. Yeah,
at the end of that. So let's see. Anything else to say about Gunfight Rio Bravo? Well, it's on Tubi.
Yeah,
it's like
it's on Tubi. It's got Gruner. It's got Hues. I mean, I'm probably going to review it as the other thing is the Art Camacho factor. He's at 48 tags on the site.
That's a lot.
Yeah, he's getting to the 50 club, which right now the 50 club is just Dolph and Gary Daniels. So I'll probably do this one as one to get him to the 50 club, and I'll probably pick another PM flick because I mean that's really where Camacho really makes his name. Is I mean it's interesting because he directed Recoil, and then Spiro Rosatos, who was the action director for Fast X, he was the action director for Recoil, and I think it's part of like what makes Camacho really great is he knew how to kind of let guys like Spiro Rosatos, I think another one that Spiro Rosatos action directed was The Sweeper, so it's like,
well, that's a great movie, as we talked about many times, and I have to see, Art Camacho. Did you see that movie? He's only in it for a little bit, but it's called Chinatown Connection. It's from like 1989 or 1990.
Oh, and I haven't. Yeah.
Lee Majors the second,
right?
And a Bruce Lee clone. I think it's Bruce Lee.
Right.
It's good. The tagline's amazing. I can look it up, but it's like I'll look it up. But it's a good kind of buddy cop action comedy.
Yeah, I love the idea of a Lee Majors the second. Yeah. And actually seeing him on the cover, because I looked it up on IMDb because I was curious about it. Seeing Lee Majors the second, of course, they just call him Lee Majors. They don't call him Lee Majors the second on the cover. It's just Lee Majors.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but he's got like a mustache and a mullet. Like, I mean, I'm not seeing the white high tops, but he does definitely look like the guy that you would see in 1990 hanging around the 7-Eleven on a Friday night.
Yeah, I'm looking this up now on IMDb. It says, they declared the streets unsafe for criminals.
Exactly.
Perfect. That's perfect tagline. So,
yeah.
Of course, you can't beat the sabotage tagline. The dark heart of the black ops beats to a secret agenda, which I mean, like I always say, when I saw that tagline, like, I'm renting this movie, I'm buying this movie. Yeah. I love this movie. I love sabotage.
Taglines were so big.
I know taglines are so important still.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I agree. This might be the one. This movie, if I can find this, if it's on YouTube or something, this might be the perfect one for the 50th tag.
Yes,
for,
that's what I was thinking. Because Art Camacho is in this movie, so that'd be perfect.
Yeah, Art Camacho. You just never know with Art Camacho when you watch stuff from like the late '80s, early '90s. I watched. What was the name of the movie? It was an AIP flick that came out the same year as some of their other ones. Why can't I think of the name of it? Let me look up William Zip because that's he was in
Bill
it.
Zip. Look up some Bill Zip, zipping it up.
Does he come up? William Zip. There we go. I think that's him. He doesn't have a picture, of course. Of course, William Zip wouldn't have a picture on his.
I know. Come on, Bill. Bill Zip. Let's go. Let's get that picture going.
It was the same year. Oh, Man Killers. Man Killers.
Yes, Man Killers. Okay, yeah, it's very silly.
So I was watching Man Killers. So we did a podcast episode way back up. Jacob Gustafson of the Awesome Action book series. Man Killers was in his book, and so we talked about it. And I'm watching Man Killers, and there's this scene where like all these like extras, these guys like this army are like kind of running at the women, and they're picking them off. And I was like, boy, that one guy looked a lot like Art Camacho. And then I watched the credits, and it was him. Yeah. So yeah, Art Camacho, like when I did his tag at one point, so it was like one of those things where I was just like, I'm seeing this Art Camacho name come up a lot in these things, when I was kind of learning, doing direct to video and kind of getting into it a little bit more.
You eventually see this guy, like, wait, Art Camacho, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of good work.
Right. When I tagged him, I was like, man, he had like 30 tags immediately. Like he jumped to like the top of the tag list. And so, I mean, he's one of the few in the 40 club. And he's now going to be in the 50 club soon with Dolph and Gary Daniels. So it's like
that's amazing.
Yeah. So this movie, I'll do this movie, and then I'll do I'll do
Chinatown Connection.
I'll try to track down a copy of that. That'll be a perfect 50th for him.
Well, just to wrap up Gunfight at Rio Bravo, or Gunfight at Rio Boring. Got him. Or I call it Nap Time at Rio Bravo, too.
Right, Nap Time at Rio Bravo. That's what you call it, yes.
Because it took me 2 days to finish.
Right, same here. I fell asleep at the 45-minute mark.
Yeah, same. It's like, okay, I'm done. I'll finish it tomorrow. It's just like, I guess, I don't know. If you like Nevsky, check it out.
Yeah.
If you don't like Nevsky, skip it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think the thing is like for us who do these kinds of things, the names like Gruner and Hues are reason enough. And I think also too, based on what happened with Red Prophecies, we saw these names in the film. It was on TV. We thought, let's give Nevsky another chance. Let's get some of these names on the podcast again. And I think for us, like the review site, I think especially 10 years ago, maybe that's a better sign. It's like, 10 years ago in the early 2010s or late 2000s, this is the kind of movie that we would have to review for the site, right?
That's a great point. Now we're just like talking about it on the podcast, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to review it. So
yeah, no, because there's just too much out there now. At that time, it was one of those things where like, oh, a new Gruner flick comes out or a new Matthias Hues, we got to review that for the site.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this would have been perfect 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
yeah, so maybe that's what it is. The movie's 12 years too late, so that's
a nice button for it.
Exactly. So what we're gonna take a quick break here, and then we're gonna come back and talk about Paradise City.
We'll get back to the podcast in a second, but first, I have a new novel out, Holtman Arms. It follows Colvin Hall, an aspiring writer who decides to write a romance novel on a whim, sends it to a publisher, and it becomes a huge success. The only problem is, no one knows it's him because he writes under the pen name Mary Ballantyne. With all of the money and none of the fame, Colvin longs for the world to recognize his accomplishments. When he gets an opportunity to write a freelance article on a washed-up 90s pop star looking for a comeback, that recognition starts to come, but is it all he hoped for? It doesn't matter because he's getting it whether he likes it or not. Holtman Arms is the second in my author's cycle after A Girl and a Gun, and like that previous novel, it explores themes of success and accomplishment in the 21st century. You can buy it now through Amazon in paperback or on Kindle. The link is in the podcast description. As always, thanks for your support.
All right, we are back, and we are ready to talk about a little Paradise City here.
Yes. Could it be Guns N' Roses' best song?
I know.
No.
I know. Yeah, it's funny because that's so I got Paradise City was one song I got in my head, of course, with this. The other thing is I got any one of 3 Gavin DeGraw hits in my head, which we'll discuss a little bit why I would get Gavin DeGraw songs in my head as well.
Please sing those because if you sing them, then I'll remember them because I don't have them on top of my head,
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. So before we get to the synopsis, Paradise City was one I think we had earmarked for a while that we wanted to get on this series of podcasts that we've been doing, just because of the Willis Travolta factor.
Gotta have to, and the door factor.
The door factor, yeah.
And the Ava factor.
Right, exactly.
So many factors.
Yeah, that's one of the funny things, right? Is that since we've been doing these movies, right, where we've been kind of doing groups of these Emmett Furla Oasis films, we've been starting to see some of these names pop up that we've seen multiple times. So we have Texas Battle, of course, is probably one that people recognize the most. But Ava as well. Ava from Hot Seat has now shown up. This is now her 3rd time appearing on the site.
It's already she's already up 3. That's like pretty good.
Yeah, does that make her tied with Texas Battle? I think he might be around 3. Yeah.
Now we just need a movie. Well, we just need a movie of them.
Right.
That's
Yeah, they haven't done one together, have they? Because he wasn't in Hot Seat and he wasn't in the Survive the Game.
Or the Night.
Survive the Game or Night. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Survive the Movie. That's what I call it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. We did. That's good.
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? That's, sometimes with these Emmett Furler Oasis films, despite the length of them, it is about like, can you make it through? Which we'll talk about in a bit because we were talking about like what we should be doing next for these and like,
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, but it's like, this was a situation where it's like we don't want to do too many of these at once because sometimes if we pile up too many, it can be a bit of a slog.
Absolutely.
And a bit of a process. Yeah, well, I'll get into a quick synopsis here. So, Paradise City starts with Bruce Willis, who is he's a bounty hunter named Ian Swan. He has captured somebody that he's about to bring in, and he ends up in a shootout with some guys. Falls into the water. It looks like he's dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's gone for a very long time.
Right. We think he's dead. Oh, maybe I should point out that we're gonna have spoilers here. So we're gonna have some. Yeah, so if you want to know what's going to happen, which to be honest, with a movie like Paradise City, it could be just as easy that Bruce Willis is only there for the first 5 minutes and then we never see him again, or that he could come back and do some stunt double.
He could come back in this one.
Right, exactly. So, so Blake Jenner, who is not related to any of the Jenner clan.
I thought so for a minute, but I guess he's not.
When you go to his IMDb page, he makes it very clear that he's not related to any of the Jenner clan. So he looks like he could be. He looks like Brody Jenner.
That's what I thought. I thought, is Brody Jenner? It's like...
Exactly, right. He if he was hanging out with Brody Jenner with the name Blake Jenner, which again it starts with a B as well, like you wouldn't. You would think that they were siblings, but
exactly. I really thought they were related.
Yeah, but he makes it clear I'm not part of the Jenner clan. But anyway, so he's the son of Bruce Willis, and he's going to find out what happened to his dad. And he meets up with another bounty hunter played by the great Stephen Dorff.
As Robbie, right?
As Robbie, right? It was kind of a fun. He's actually kind of a fun character in this. He's kind of a offbeat sort of mercenary type. Part of the history he has with Bruce Willis is he slept with Blake Jenner's mom, and so which of course is that can't be good. But anyway, so they're going to investigate the situation, and the investigation is taking them to this guy Buckley, played by John Travolta, who is millionaire who owns essentially the island of Maui in Hawaii. I forgot to mention we're in Hawaii for this, but he's essentially owns everybody there, and he's got this candidate running for Senate, Thomas Kane, who's played by Branscombe Richmond of Renegade fame.
Yeah, it's a good old Bobby Six killer.
So at the same time, we have a woman, Savannah, who's on the police department. She's working with Blake Jenner to try to find out what happened to Bruce Willis. They're getting intel from our friend Ava, who is she runs a gentleman's club, and the women at the gentleman's club essentially grill the guys that they're dancing for information that she then gives to the police. Silly. Yeah. We find out Paradise City is this nice little isolated island area that John Travolta wants because he can mine. I think it's mining in that area, or is it oil, or there's some kind of natural resource.
Some sort of resource they're trying to take from the villagers,
Yeah, exactly. So they're figuring out how all of this ties together, and then while Blake Jenner's in Paradise City, lo and behold, who's there but Mr. Bruce Willis? Turns out he wasn't dead after all. And Bruce Willis sets us in on a surprise that we probably saw coming, right? That John Travolta is the guy that he had arrested, that he was bringing to justice. At the same time, they've kidnapped Stephen Dorff, and they are essentially like straight punch beating him.
That was really funny.
Yeah, so,
I mean, that was the funniest part of the movie, I thought.
Right, exactly. So he's essentially getting tortured. Right, you're right, exactly. It's like kind of a great scene. But anyway, so they want to rescue Stephen Dorff, bring down John Travolta. So all of this happens at John Travolta's house, and it's a matter of like, let's kind of bring it all together and see what happens. And we get our first scene with Bruce Willis and Travolta together.
That
since
was nice
Pulp
to see.
Fiction. Yeah, exactly.
I wish Bruce was a little bit better.
Yeah,
but, Travolta was he carried this movie a lot.
Yeah, we get some fun Travolta. Yeah,
and
exactly.
You do get that. And you were telling me that you thought it was very similar to Battlefield Earth, right?
Yeah,
the kind of voice.
Yeah, so if we get into I think when he was talking, the way he talks in this, he does kind of pull a little bit of the man animal from Battlefield Earth.
Which maybe he was thinking that. It's like.
What did you think overall of this one?
I thought it really wasn't that bad. I got hooked into the story for the most part. Obviously it's very dumb.
Yes.
But you got Travolta, and with Travolta, he carried almost the whole movie. I'd say 95% because of Travolta.
Yeah.
And and Dorf. So when Dorf and Travolta were talking, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And the punching thing was really funny.
Yeah.
I like that. I hope this isn't a spoiler. That Travolta has like 3 different names in the
Right.
So he's Buckley, and then he's Arlene Buckley at the end.
Right.
It's like Arlene Buckley. It's like, and then I watched Gunfight at Rio Bravo, and it's like someone else, and then like someone has Arlene. It's like
Right.
there's a connection between these 2 movies. There's a woman named Arlene and then a man named Arlene.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That's nuts. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No, go.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I think the thing that makes this a little bit above your usual Emmett Furla Oasis 30-minute Willis slog is the fact that you have you for whatever amount of time you have them in the film with Travolta and Dorf, you do have them at all to sort of cut it a little bit. I think the one thing with this one that hurts it a little bit is that Blake Jenner, he's not the most compelling lead.
No,
he's
kind of wooden.
Yeah, he's more in that Chad Michael Murray category, and I think this one, I think the problem is that I don't think unfortunately, our friend Johnny Drama is too old to be Bruce Willis's son, but he could have been like his younger brother, and that would have been
That's surprising by age, because he looks youngish when he does his befuddled look. It's like...
Yes, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it would have been kind of fun to see. And actually, I'm looking to see if Randall Emmett is a producer on this. I wonder if this was an Emmett Furla Oasis. I'm wondering if this was one of their movies, but I think Johnny Drama brings a certain element to these when you lose the main cast for certain periods of time, it's like you need someone like a Drama there to keep things propped up a little bit.
Exactly. It dragged. It really did drag in. That's in my notes. When he goes to the island and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, because you can make a point, right, that Blake Jenner and then the woman that he's with, I can't remember what the character's name is. Savannah. The actress's name is Priya Lundberg. They don't have a lot of chemistry. They don't have a lot going on. A lot of their scenes, I don't know if you had this feeling, it's almost like a lot of their scenes, you could imagine them being shot, right? Like it's like I was watching because at the end of the movie they do like bloopers during the credits. It was almost like I was watching bloopers as opposed to watching the actual film being made.
Interesting theory. Yeah, it's just like I could see that. I mean, like, I knew it was going to drag in the middle. I was hoping it wasn't going to.
Yeah.
But of course, the movie's like about 82 minutes with credits.
So I think it might even be a little shorter than that. They do. I think it's like 8-minute credit sequence. It's like That's long amazing. Credit. Yeah.
I will say the part I really thought was funny, besides the Stephen Dorff being punched, was the guy falling into the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you're kidding. It's like,
right.
Unless that was like a joke. Was that like a jokey thing? Because it couldn't have been that bad of an effect. I mean, that was Asylum level.
Well, right, because it's like this whole thing. So to give people a sense of what's happening, they're trying to give you a sense of how bad Travolta is. And so what Travolta is doing is he's trying to get these elders in the town to give up their land. And one elder holds out, so they just drop the elder in the volcano. And they didn't really care how they made that look. They just went for it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is an Emmett Furla Oasis film. So we keep calling it an Emmett Furla Oasis, but it feels
like it, but it's not. It feels like one.
Yeah, which is interesting because, I mean, everything about this. I mean, the fact too that we have Ava in it, right? Ava is a mainstay of the Emmett Furla Oasis
it's
films.
Like, maybe he's uncredited.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what it is because, I wonder if because of the controversy around him and the documentary that came out and what happened.
Lala. Wait, is that out now?
That documentary's out now. I haven't seen it yet.
I forgot the title. What's it called? Like, I don't know what's called.
Yeah, it's called. I started watching it, and then I had to. I kind of one of those deals where I was falling asleep. I turned it off, and so which I don't know if it's necessarily a
What's it called? Like Lala's Lament? I don't know. What's it called?
That'd be awesome. No, let me see what we have here. Right, let's see if because one of the things about it that's interesting is that I was I took a while to find it because it's not as easy to find as you'd think it would be. Like you start typing in like Randall Emmett and stuff like that, and it didn't
Maybe
really come up.
it.
Yeah, I'm wondering because so many of his movies are on Hulu that it was like, they released it. I mean, it's still there, but yeah, don't they have a continue watching? Like I'm in the process of watching.
So.
Oh, here it is. Continue. Yes. Okay. The Randall Scandal, Love, Loathing, and Vanderpump. That's what it's called.
All right, Vanderpump. So how much Vanderpump footage do you get? It's like.
Yeah, I was just getting started into it, but like,
okay.
I mean, a lot of the footage actually isn't even I mean, I think there is Vander because I guess he was on the show with them. But yeah, and I guess one of the things they talk about is I guess he had scenes where he had like blow-ups I don't know if he had the blow-ups at Bruce Willis. So I'll have to watch this for the next one we do to see like exactly, so I'm just kind of like talking about like me having seen.
Would that be our next movie? Is the Randall Scandal? I think we talked about this.
Right, we could do the Randall Scandal.
It's kind of funny. We talk about Randall Emmett a lot on this podcast.
Yeah. I know. So maybe we should get into him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I do wonder with this movie if because everything about it is Randall Emmett. But I mean, I guess like Ava, it is possible for her to work with somebody else other than Randall Emmett. But the whole thing seems to Randall Emmett, but his name's not anywhere on it, and his production companies aren't listed on it. So I don't know.
Interesting. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just he took a break on this one. You have all the Randall Emmett superstars, like John Travolta, Killing Season. Yeah. So that was almost a good movie.
Right. And one of the producers on this film is Johnny Mesner, who Johnny Mesner has been producing Randall Emmett films as well. He's been working with Randall Emmett.
I'm surprised Mesner wasn't in this one.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe that's interesting. And no, of course, no drama.
Yeah. I wonder if this Bonded Media Capital might be something to do. I mean, I'm doing like real time, like real time
stuff.
Real time investigations while we're chatting about it. But I think whether the movie was a Randall Emmett film or not, right? I think the fact that it feels Emmett-y is probably enough for it to be. I
mean, would I recommend? Would you recommend the movie? I'm just trying to think.
Well, yeah, it's.
God, before we do that, I mean, like I have some other notes.
Yeah.
Which is Buckley is actually maybe it's still online, but if you look up Supermarket Sweep, there was like a '90s girl named Buckley on it.
Right.
It was it's like Buckley, interesting. And that was her first name. Like, oh, now Buckley's the real first name now. I had to mention that. Supermarket Sweep, great show. They always took all the hams.
Yes.
It's like. I hear the hams weren't real.
Yeah, one of my favorites was there was so at that time, right, you wouldn't have called them you wouldn't have called them back then they wouldn't have announced that it was a gay couple because back then they would have been like they were roommates was the term that was used back then.
Oh, that's right.
Right nowadays, of course, right, we're much more open about it, but these are like it's that they're they were roommates, but I remember they were going through and they you get like the clues, right, when they're like doing like the whole like kind of run through the thing, and one of them was like Mrs. Dash, but like it was something that was a clue, and the guy's like Mrs. Dash, it's Mrs. Dash, and they're like right to get to Mrs. Dash. I don't know why I always remember that one.
That's really funny. That's great. He loves Mrs. Dash. What's that? Spice, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and
the Dash of Spice.
Yeah. The other thing about that show is that the host of the old Supermarket Sweep, he played the guy that Janet marries in the finale of Three's Company, which I saw the finale recently and I was like, whoa, that's the Supermarket Sweep guy. Like, what is going on here?
That's amazing. That is so funny.
Yeah.
That is really good. I'm trying to remember his name. We always loved his sweaters. It's like, what kind of silly sweater is he going to wear today?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Dave Ruprecht. So it's like, here comes Dave Ruprecht. Right. Here comes his turquoise sweater asking about Mrs. Dash. It's like, I will say this about Paradise City. So let's go back in time.
Yeah.
And let's say, if this came out, let's say 1997,
Yeah.
it would be in the theater, be a massive hit,
Blockbuster. Yeah.
huge, right? So, because you think like you got Travolta, Willis, and Dorff.
Yeah.
So it's like that's huge.
Yeah. Well, right. Dorff wouldn't have been playing the character he plays here. Dorff would have been the Blake Jenner character.
Exactly. So Bruce could play the same character, Travolta could play the same character, but Dorff would be the younger guy.
Yeah.
It's like then you got a movie, and I could totally see it's like it would have like almost the same cover, kind of. Maybe something a little cooler, maybe more like this. It would be cooler. It was like City of Industry or something like that. No time I've given City of Industry a chance.
Yeah, 1997 too. I'm wondering who the actress would have been because she was.
Well, it could be Ava. So
yeah,
probably,
could be, right. Ava would have been way too young, I guess. Right. I'm trying to think who would have been like the female police officer if that would have been like, would you. I think someone like a Jennifer Love Hewitt would have been too young at that time.
Too young, but it can't. Oh, maybe it could be Carla Gugino. She was younger back then.
Oh, Carla Gugino. Yes. She would have been perfect for that role.
Yes, that'd be perfect. So, and then you got yourself a great movie, and then you can have a better volcano scene. Mm-hmm. Everything would just be better.
Can you imagine this at that time? First off, you'd have a Travolta who had hair and real eyebrows.
Who has hair in it.
So that would have been a big piece of it, right?
And Bruce Willis would have some hair. So
and Bruce Willis would have been in it more too, right? Like
exactly, he would be in it and be more present with the his surroundings and all that stuff. So he would have. This movie would have been a better movie, I think, in 1997.
Yeah. Now the one problem with this being, if it was a big budget late '90s film, is unfortunately they wouldn't have allowed Branscombe Richmond to play Thomas Kane, which we still would have needed him, but they wouldn't have let him play that part.
Yeah, either that character would be jettisoned, or it'd be just a kind of a different plot. It's like,
well, they would have had a new Asian person playing, because in his case, he's a Native American playing a Hawaiian native. They would have probably had somebody. I'm trying to think who they would have had. God, who could you have had in that part? I mean, it would have been great if they had Don Ho play that part. Like
I was just thinking Don Ho. I really
were you? Yeah.
Yeah. I
Tiny
think
bubbles.
He's still with us? I think.
Well, he would have been in '97 for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know about now.
I know he's still hanging around. Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be like funny stunt casting for a second.
Yeah.
So, which I can get to. I can connect that to something else when we do the Pluggos. So it's like
that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay, so would I recommend the movie? I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Because you got Travolta, and he's carrying it. Dorff's carrying it. Bruce Willis does what he can.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It looks good. I mean, it looks like it's a shot. Oh, and also it's directed by the guy who made Eraser. So this would come out in 1997.
Yeah. That's a good point. That it was the guy who made Eraser. I completely forgot.
Chuck Russell.
Yeah.
So it's like that's perfect.
Yeah, he did a bunch of stuff. I completely forgot about that. We have a good director in this who did.
That's why it's a little bit better.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the problem is that the movie was definitely shot on a short time span, and that's why it has that feel of being like there's scenes where you can just tell how they were shot, because it was like we're doing one take and we're getting out of here, as best we can. But I mean, this guy, he did The Mask, he did Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, right? Back to our Dokken fandom.
Right. He played 2 songs, Into the Fire. You got Arquette listening, rocking out to that.
Yes, yeah, and then of course with Dream Warriors, I mean, there's no way there's no other way to beat Freddie than with a great George Lynch guitar solo and a nice drum.
And he did technically beat Freddie. He was the only one who ever beat Freddie, Frederick Krueger. Frederick.
And he wakes up from the nightmare. Freddie wakes up from the nightmare.
Exactly, because he's like, whoa.
Who are those guys?
Exactly. He beat Freddie, because Freddie has to sleep eventually, too.
Right.
So I think that's pretty clever, actually.
Dokken.
He was bested by Dokken, as we all are.
Yeah.
It's just like basically. So it's like Welcome to the Dokken podcast. On this episode, we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and how there's 2 songs on the soundtrack.
Right.
I wonder, I never looked up if Dokken's on any other soundtracks. I bet there was. I gotta do my research.
Yeah. That's so I looked up Don Ho, and he is unfortunately no longer with us.
He's not.
He passed in
Hoku's
07.
still around.
But I'll pull up that same tab that I had for that, and I'll look up Dokken, and we'll see what they got for soundtracks here.
Nice. Maybe have some more Dokken.
They're an American metal band formed in 1979 and split up in '89. I think they did their best work in the mid '80s. That was where they did, really, that was where they, yeah. But let's see here. Actor, I don't want. Oh, they actually were. Oh, because it shows their videos. That's why. Yeah. So,
okay. So I guess technically he's an actor. He's acting against Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. Let's see soundtrack here. Okay, so yeah, mostly the Freddy Krueger. That's really it. And then Grand Theft Auto.
That's the thing. What's that?
Grand Theft Auto, Vice City.
Oh,
Breaking the Chains was in that one.
I must have played it while I was running over people in Vice City or whatever. It's like.
Breaking the chains. The best part about the video for Breaking the Chains is that George Lynch gets out of the chains just in time for the guitar solo, and then he's able to use the power. Yeah,
he uses the power of his awesome guitar solo to break the chains and beat Freddy in two separate videos. So that's amazing.
You think of great guitarists. I mean, Lynch is up there as like one of the best people. I don't when people do those lists of like best guitarists. Like I don't know enough about music to really do great lists, but George Lynch, I mean, he just made with Dokken. It was just like, when am I going to get to that great George Lynch guitar solo with any of their songs?
It's a great question. Usually you get one. So
it's just like, I'm just waiting. I mean, like Don Dokken's his lyrics, right, are just getting me to the Lynch guitar solo. That's really what it was.
That's really funny. Yeah.
Speaking of music, speaking of music, there was one other piece of this that I kind of forgot to mention too, was the Gavin DeGraw.
Angle. Yes, go ahead, please.
So the hero Blake Jenner, when they are invading John Travolta's place to take him down and get Steven Dorff out, they have this plan to crash a party where the Savannah character and then Ava with her girls at her club, they go in as the hired help, I guess, for I guess Travolta hires them to come, and Blake Jenner plays. He goes disguised as their chauffeur, but he's dressed as Gavin DeGraw when he's being the chauffeur. He's got the hat and he's got the vest and everything. And it's like the first thing I was just like, I started getting song. What was the One Tree Hill?
I don't want to be.
I don't want to. Yeah. So that was like,
I don't want to be.
Yeah. All I have to do is sing to me and my sweet. Yeah. Right. Then there's the other one that I'm in love with a girl that had the video had Kristen Cavallari. That was a great one too. Yeah. I'm in love with a girl. Yeah. And then Chariot. Right. That was the other big hit.
Oh, that was Gavin.
Yeah. That was Gavin DeGraw.
Yeah, that was popular. Oh, Chariot.
We're good. Yeah, right. So they were just like, moment I saw him, that was it. Like I had to go on YouTube and play like a early 2000s playlist. So it was like I kind of went from I can't remember what I played after that, but I mean, Gavin DeGraw is funny. Somebody had talked about because in the 70s and early 80s, right, there was the whole soft rock movement, which we now call yacht rock, and
right, yeah,
somebody was. Rock. Yeah, somebody was like, well, what is that kind of music for our generation? And I was thinking, like, for the 90s, like the late 90s into the early 2000s, it was probably like Goo Goo Dolls, Gin Blossoms, those groups.
Right. Two Princes, what the song?
Right. Oh, yes, right, exactly. Spin Doctors, yeah.
Spin Doctors, thank you.
Yeah, that would have been, but when you get into the early 2000s, there was this mom rock trend where you had like John Mayer was a big mom rocker. It was like this kind of this thing where it was like moms in their early 40s and then their daughters, their teen daughters, and their mid to late teens could go to the concerts together and enjoy the music together. And there was a whole group of these, John Mayer was probably the biggest one, but then you had like the Had a Bad Day guy. Was it Daniel Powder? Remember that one? Had a bad day.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. Like that was a big
song. You change the channel while you hear some of the lyrics.
Exactly. I mean,
it's like, okay, I'm done.
Hit, right? The biggest mom rock hit was James Blunt's "Beautiful." I mean, he was on Oprah singing that one.
Oh wow, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I mean,
is he the brother of Emily Blunt?
I don't think. No, actually, that's a good question. I don't know if he is or not, but. Yeah, remember that song he had? You're beautiful.
Oh, I've heard of. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you. It's like okay.
Yeah, but so
I'm trying to think of a different guy. Who? Oh, now I can't remember. Lullaby. What was his name? Oh, Sean Mullins, right?
Oh, Sean Mullins, right? That was right. That was like the 90s period where he was trying to be. Who was he trying? He was trying to be was Lou Reed he was trying to be, right? Trying to be
Well,
like,
yeah, and then
Bella.
it was Dominique Swain in the video.
Yes,
I
that
mean,
made her an it girl for a period of time.
right, yeah. And then you have Lolita, and they go, uh-oh. But
Yeah,
it's just like, but I remember, yeah, Lullaby, yeah, it was very popular. Of course, Marcy Playground.
right.
Uh,
Yes, right.
let's
Marcy.
bring those back, you know.
Yeah.
Let's use about Marcy. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say James Blunt. I looked up him on IMDb.
Okay.
Second piece of trivia is not related to actress Emily Blunt, so I
Okay, well,
couldn't
I had
answer
to,
that one for you. Yeah.
you know that Snoop Dogg is very, very annoyed that his last name's not Blunt. You know,
I'm surprised he hasn't changed it to Snoop Dogg Blunt. Yeah, that
or
would
yeah,
be
or Snoop Blunt.
Snoop
like,
Blunt. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I'm surprised, but you know, isn't he tired of doing all that stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he is, because I think he just like shows up with his like gray braids and
another gray.
his
Yeah,
big out, you know, his like his you know, he's almost kind of Hugh Hefner-y, like his outfits are kind of Hugh Hefner-ish. And he just kind of shows up and just does Snoop Dogg for 5 minutes, and they give him like tens of thousands of dollars or even more. And he's just like,
yeah, I know. It's getting a little tiring. You got Snoop Dogg and you got Martha Stewart, and they're like
yes,
palling around all day. It's like,
right.
Okay, I get it. Well, that's why it's kind of like Ice Cube when he was making those "Are You There Yet" movies. People just called him Nice Cube. So it's just like instead of him being a gangsta.
I remember a buddy of mine had bought like some old like Ice Cube T-shirt from those days where, you know, when he was like, you know, gangster rap and all of that.
Yeah.
And he posted on Facebook and he was like, check this out. And we were all like, dude, you know he does kids movies now, don't you? And it's like, you know. So
I never saw Are We There Yet or Are We Done Yet? But he hasn't completed the trilogy.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say, though, about Ice Cube is like I saw him on Bill Maher a few years ago, where Bill Maher said the N-word on a previous episode. Yeah. And, you know, he's getting crushed for it or whatever. And Michael Eric Dyson went on to talk to him about it and kind of gave him a bit of a lecture, but explained to him like why he shouldn't do that. But then he had Ice Cube on, and Ice Cube went in on him, and it was like old Ice Cube. You know what I mean? It was like old, like 90s gangster rap Ice Cube, just completely crushing Bill Maher. He's like, I know how you white guys are, the going out with sisters, you know, and thinking that you're all down and all this stuff. And I mean, he just completely, it was great. Like,
I remember that. I'm gonna look that up because I remember when I was happening. It's like,
yeah,
he just got destroyed by an Ice Cube.
Yeah,
so
Ice Cube was just like, I'm not letting you off easy on this one. He just like, he just gave it to him. But it was fantastic. So so sometimes that old Ice Cube comes out. I'm sure probably with Snoop, there was probably some times like behind the scenes where the old Snoop comes out. But it's like, I think there's this point where it's just like, you know, the whole Death Row Records thing and like, you know, needing to get security and you know, it's like,
well, and then now they have beefs on Twitter and it's kind of embarrassing. It's like, they used to like shoot each other on the streets. Now they're shooting each other. Direct message, you know, just like
exactly.
So it's just like, okay,
Snoop's like, give me Martha Stewart. She's not going to get into any kind of thing with me. It's the irony, you know. Irony is a lot of fun. People love irony, so
because they've both been in jail.
Right, that's right.
You know, murder was the case, and for Martha, you know, wrong stocks were the case, or it was insider trading was the case. So
right, exactly.
I think if she did that today, I think she would get away with it.
Oh yeah, I think it was. They made an example out of her. Whereas in Snoop's case, they were like, "Well, we're not making an example." You know, well, actually, I guess in Snoop's case, right? Because he got off for that murder.
Well, was the case.
Yeah, that was that was the case they gave him, but he got away with it. But he was in jail before that, I think, whether it was for dealing crack or because that was what he did originally. He was one of those rappers that came up dealing crack and kind of got out of the crack dealing. From
get out the crack game,
rapper.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. You're right. There's a really great documentary series that VH1 did. The problem is it's hard to find it because one of the episodes is blocked here in the U.S. due to copyright. I think it's because of the music they used.
Oh,
but
okay.
It was called Planet Rock, and it was about how the crack game influenced hip hop in like the late '80s, early '90s, and it's great. I don't know if it had Snoop Dogg in it, but it had like, you know, Cypress Hill, guys from Cypress Hill were in it. Guys from Wu-Tang, had all kinds of really great names in it.
Yeah, that's a great segue because remember I mentioned Darby Gillis in the beginning of the pod. Yeah, you know, because Warren Beatty is on Darby Gillis' early role, and remember he's in Bulworth, you know, Ghetto Superstar.
Yes,
and it's like that was the most popular song.
Yes,
I mean, I just remember that. I mean, I remember maybe I said this before, but I used to have another friend named Brett.
Yeah.
And they played on the radio so many times, we had to take turns listening to it on our little radio.
Right.
It's like, it's my turn to listen to Ghetto Superstar. No, okay. Next time I play it, it's like they play like every 15 minutes.
Yes.
And then, And you're like, okay, I'll listen to it. But then, because the song is very catchy, I was gonna, sling some bars, but it's like,
Right.
it's like I was trying to sing it. Like a million refugees with unlimited warranties.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Black Caesar. Getting top divas. Diplomatically released. No time for a visa.
Right. Yes.
The forces of King Solomon. Let's see back on, and so on and so on. So teach these cats to live in the ghetto. I can do it all day.
Yeah, but I think if I heard it, I would remember because
yeah.
Right, that was that time, right, when hip hop was first becoming mainstream enough that you could play it, and so it was like all the pop station, they would take like one or two of the ones that were considered safe enough for them. Like you weren't going to hear Biggie or Tupac on the pop station, but Ghetto Superstar, that would be on the pop station, and it would get played all the time.
Oh, all the time. It was huge. It was massive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Bulworth is an interesting movie. I mean, like,
I
mean, it's a good movie. I mean, it almost holds up, but man, it does drag because it's like 2.5 hours.
I know.
But I like the idea of it, and I like that it was made, but the movie itself is a bit weak. If you remember the ending, you're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You really goofed. You really goofed the ending, Warren.
Right.
It's like, it's like I call him my first name because he hangs on to those Dick Tracy rights for dear life. That his fingernails are bleeding. It's just like,
so that's why they don't make more Dick Tracy movies because
he clings to it like for dear life. I mean, it's outrageous. So did you see this thing on AMC? It was maybe a few months ago or in the past couple of years. They hang on to the rights every few years. He has to do something with Dick Tracy.
Oh, right. So he does like animated specials or something?
Oh, no,
like that?
I wish it was animated. No, it's live action.
Movies.
And they're not really movies. No, they're not movies. They're like fake interviews with Dick Tracy talking to Warren Beatty, talking to Leonard Maltin.
Oh, right. Yes, I see this. I see one here with Ben Mankiewicz where it says Dick Tracy has a Zoom call with Ben Mankiewicz in which he expresses concern about the...
just enough for him to hang on to the rights. He knows that. He's like, okay, I better hang on to these rights.
Wow.
It's outrageous. I mean, like, why didn't you make another Dick Tracy movie? Or not. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember it not just being okay.
Yeah.
We all love Prune Face, but
right, exactly. Well, like, what if he could just produce the Dick Tracy? I mean, it's interesting because we live in this world of like big budget franchises, and this would be one that if it worked, right? And I mean, I don't know who owns what distributor would have the rights with him, but yeah, it's amazing. I didn't know that he just does not want to have another Dick Tracy movie made after the one from 1990. Like it was
like 35 years or a long time ago now.
Right. I saw that in the theater, I remember, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I was like,
were you scared of Prune Face?
Well, that was the bath. The bath freaked me out, like dumping people in concrete and throwing them overboard. But Prune Face wasn't great either. He kind of freaked me out too. You're right there. It was
I just like saying Prune Face. I mean, I'll say Prune Face all day. It's just like...
exactly. I did not know that.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, imagine if they had made more Dick Tracys, we probably would have had people like, people like Travolta and Willis in those movies. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You get like these kind of cameos like Al Pacino as Brick Face. I don't know his name or something. Or
right. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I forget their names. It's like, but I know Al Pacino was in it, right?
Yeah, I think he was Prune Face, wasn't he? Or
he was Prune Face. I mean, I'd love to get that you can look this up. So Dick Tracy fan.
Pulled it up here. I mean, the movie's only an hour and 45 minutes long, which is crazy to think that, like, a movie like that. Like, it's not even available. It doesn't look like it's available on any of the streamers, but you can rent it, I guess, if you want to. But that's right, Madonna. That's right, Madonna was False Face. That's right. Let's see here. Oh no, Al Pacino was Big Boy. That's right.
Okay. Big Boy.
Exactly.
Warren Beatty.
Forsythe. We had Forsythe as Flat Top. Yeah, where is because Prune Face was famous. Wasn't he somebody famous? I thought he was somebody.
Was it Dustin Hoffman?
That's what I thought. Yeah, no. Dustin Hoffman was Mumbles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Vino was
a funny idea. It's a funny idea. You get these names to be like these goofy gangsters. Okay,
yeah.
So at the time, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe I should rewatch it. And I haven't seen it in a while. It's like
James Tolkien was in it. So R.G. Armstrong was prune faced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, R.G. Armstrong. You would recognize him as a character actor who did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen him before. I've seen that name before.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he was prune faced. So yeah, I mean, I had no idea about this, but then you look up his bio, you look up Beatty's bio, and you see like all of these these little like roles that he, these little like you said, like these little like shorts.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah,
he hasn't really made a real movie in a while. What's that one he played Howard Hughes? I hear was kind of a dud.
Rules Don't Apply. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
came
was
out
it. Thank you.
2016.
And then what was after that? Town and Country. It's like,
You might be right.
I mean, I hear that was a dud. I mean,
No,
for some
Town and
reason-
Country was before Rules Don't Apply. So
Oh yeah, no, that was
that was
oh yeah
01.
after. So yeah, that was 01. So then what was that after Town and Country? Was it Rules Don't Apply?
Right. So he went
Wow, what a
15
gap.
years without making another thing. It's funny because Shia LaBeouf said in an interview, kind of after doing some of the Transformers movies, that he was going to stop making certain things. He was only going to do what he called Warren Beatty game changer projects. But you look at Warren Beatty. I mean, he did the game changer projects way back when he was, I mean, Bugsy was a big one. I remember that one, obviously, Dick Tracy. But it's not like he's making game changer projects anymore either.
Who, Shia? No. I
Oh,
mean,
no, like Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty, no way.
Yeah.
I think he's just getting up there in the H department and he doesn't care. And
Yeah.
or but he can make a lot of money if he made like a Dick Tracy TV show, and he can make an appearance on it. I think there's something there, but someone's got to tell Annette Bening. So it's like
right, exactly.
as I have no contacts to Annette Bening,
Yes.
or do I? It's like she should do action movies. Bening, I guess the closest one you're gonna get is The Siege. I guess. Hey, that's Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
That was a good movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it recently, it's like Bruce Willis. He's like evil. He's like an evil general.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a while.
It's like, because I was trying to work on my Denzel Washington on that one. It's like, okay, all right, shred the Constitution just a little bit. It's like, and like arrest him. I can't do Bruce Willis, but arrest Denzel Washington. And then it's like, no, it's good. It's a quality movie.
Yeah, it's one of the things about Willis that's so fascinating, especially seeing him in Paradise City with Travolta.
Yeah, we'll go back to Paradise City. Okay,
well, no, because you think about the 90s, because you make a really great point that if this was made in 97, it would have been a huge hit. And it's like,
absolutely.
Willis was big kind of throughout the 90s, right? Like, because, late 80s into the 90s, he's a big deal. And the fact that he's in Pulp Fiction for a small thing is like, it's a big deal that it's Bruce Willis. Whereas, like, Travolta has his comeback in Pulp Fiction. He was doing like the Look Who's Talking movies, but his career had kind of faltered. And
there's some duds in that filmography for sure.
Yeah, and so Willis is like, Willis, like the closest comp to Willis. Like I don't think even think Travolta is a good comp to Willis just because of that. That like Willis was big throughout the 80s, whereas Travolta. Sort of not throughout the 80s, the 80s and throughout the 90s, whereas like Travolta kind of comes in the mid 90s and blows up as a big star.
Blows up again, yeah. If you look at his filmography after Pulp Fiction, there's Travolta's. You get White Man's Burden, which is an interesting idea, not a great movie, but interesting idea.
That's right, exactly.
And then we have Phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't talk about that one. Michael's kind of a dud. He's like an angel. I think that's Trump's favorite movie, or he turned it off.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I tried to watch Michael, didn't like it. I went back to Bloodsport. Okay. Yeah. But and then what was the other one? Phenomenon. I know I've seen Phenomenon. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it because I don't know that I have actually. Now you mentioned it.
It's also
a TNT new classic, right? It was
the movie you watch at like 1 p.m. in the afternoon when you're bored.
Yeah. So
Michael too.
Yeah, Michael's a big one like that. Get Shorty. I remember when Get Shorty came out, everybody was thinking that was going to be the next Pulp Fiction thing, and everybody saw that in the theater because they were like ready for more Pulp Fiction, and it wasn't anything like Pulp Fiction.
No, but it's still a quality movie. I think there's some flaws to Get Shorty, but still good.
Yeah.
It's very well written. Yeah. So, and then what else did he make? And then he made what is it? General's Daughter, which I liked, and then of course then there's Battlefield Earth. Wah wah.
Yeah, Face Off is in there.
Face Off, yeah. Let's not forget about Face Off. Yeah, I almost forgot about Face Off.
Yeah, but then you got Battlefield Earth.
Oh, and Broken Arrow. So
Broken Arrow.
Good, a good lineup in the 90s for Travolta.
Yeah, he has
like 10 good ones.
Yeah, in 97, right? When you look at what's coming out in the late 90s for him, a 97 movie with Willis that was based off of this concept of what we have here for this film, it would have been right in there on the...
It would have been huge. He'd be on all the talk shows talking about, how's your new movie, Paradise City? Well, it's a great movie, Matt Lauer.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything wrong in 20 years.
Right, exactly.
And then they'd be on the talk shows, and there'd be big posters. You could totally see it, right?
Yeah.
Like Travolta, Willis are back, and new superstars, Steven Dorff.
Yes. Because Steven Dorff, right? He would have played. kind of like a big big thing for him to be playing like the young guy in this.
Exactly.
It would have been in
And
his 20s. It would have been perfect age for him.
perfect. And then he after this movie comes out and he gets Blade. See,
Mhm.
we're making Dorf's career for him.
Yeah.
And then he did e-cigarettes. He's doing great.
Yeah, we're all adults here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all adults here. Have an e-cigarette.
Yeah. It's one of the fascinating things about this kind of this trend in movies. And when I was at Fast X, one of the things I did recognize is that with all that it takes to go see a movie in the theater now, where it's like the amount of time that you have to invest in it, compared to like when you watch something on streaming, like with this movie, right? With Paradise City, right? All you do is you just load up Hulu on your TV. You could do it on your phone, your tablet, your computer,
Boom,
but you just
watch it.
Yeah, watch it whenever you want. There's no previews to have to sit through. There's no having to get there. It's like
That's
the
true.
movie Fast X takes 2.5 hours, but I got to get there early because I got to make sure I get my seat. I get my ticket, get in my seat, and get all of that stuff taken care of. All of that's done ahead of time.
30-minute pre-game, really.
Right, exactly. And so when it comes to seeing a movie in the theater, people I think they want they want it to be an experience if they're going through all that trouble.
You want to take the trek.
Exactly.
That's why no one won't take the trek anymore. Like back in the day, you can watch. Let's go back to the '90s again, I guess. Yeah. You can go watch Face Off, or you can even watch Nixon or something like that.
Right.
And it stays in theaters for a while too.
Yeah. Well, because you think about it, right? If you were going to watch Paradise City at home in '97, if Paradise City comes out in '97, it's a summer blockbuster. It's like going up against all the other big names of that. But it's pulling in the money it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It's like the home experience to watch Paradise City in '97 was a tube TV that the film had to be either letterboxed so it could fit or adapted to fit that. Most people, you're watching it on VHS, so
it's not been formatted to fit your TV.
Right, exactly, right. And it's like with the VHS, right? Like VHS, we kind of like it as a nostalgia piece, but in terms of comparing it to going to the theater, right? It's still pretty cumbersome, right? Like you still got to fast forward and rewind and all that stuff. But I mean, at the very least, you can still pause. Of course, there was the issue, right, with VHS. It was like, do I pause it or do I stop it, right? Because I can't leave it paused for too long.
You can pause it for 4 seconds.
Right.
I'd rather just stop it because I think it's what's to pull the tape or something.
Exactly.
That's what I heard. So I never pause the tape really, unless I did it by accident.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas nowadays, it's like everybody has widescreen. All TVs are made widescreen. They all have really great, resolutions to them. Again, with the streaming thing, you can stop it. You can resume it on another device. You can start a movie in the living room and finish it in the bedroom if you want to now. It's like there's so many things that make the experience at home so much better that it's
better, but I get going to the theater,
Yeah.
But because I watched the trailer for Expendables 4,
yeah,
I gotta say,
yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know if you watched it or not.
I haven't seen it yet. I meant to before we chatted here today to kind of see if we were going to chat about it or not. I forgot. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have to wait for streaming.
Yeah.
There's something about it that doesn't look good. And then there's some rumor that Frank Stallone knows it sucks.
Oh, no way.
That's not good. You could find that online. You could look up Frank Stallone Expendables 4 sucks or something, and it's
Man,
it doesn't look great. I mean, it looks kind of garbagey.
Yeah,
shouldn't go to the theater. So
yeah,
that's me. I don't know. I like the third one. Maybe you should have stopped at the third one.
I think that Stallone thought before this movie was made, right after the pandemic in 2020, so getting into 2021, there's a bit of a shakeup in the theater because people were cooped up inside for so long that they just wanted to see anything in the theater, and so movies that normally weren't successful in the theater were for a period. But my understanding of the current state of the theater now, early 2023 or the first half of 2023, is it's back to the old way where it's just Marvel films, right? It's only the big budgeters or the only big budget, and so a movie like this, it's going to be interesting to see if this thing does well or not, because
I don't know. It's really 50-50. It's it doesn't come out until September, which is interesting.
Yeah,
it looks like a summer movie because all the other ones came out in summer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it's coming in the fall.
I think that they don't want this thing competing with the Flash movie and the
Oh, and
new
Mission
Mission
Impossible.
Impossible, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
they get clobbered for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
like, yeah,
that's interesting. But I hate to say this has been 13 years ago when we're like every day there's like the hot news about Expendables, like, oh my God, Dolph Lundgren's gonna be in this movie.
right.
Gary Daniels is gonna be in this movie. It's like, wasn't that fun? It's
Yes.
just like you check every day on like some sort of movie website or manlymovie.com or you ever see that site?
Yes,
That's where I
yes.
found that thing about Frank Stallone. And it's just it's like, and I hear test screenings haven't gone well either for EX4. It's like,
Yeah.
but it looks like I think the best part's probably going to be the Jason Statham Iko Uwais fight. It looked, people say that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to watch, but do I want to check out to the theater? I don't know yet. I'm on the fence.
It is, I think the thing I realized yesterday is Fast X was a nice experience in the theater, but it is a chore. It's like, my day, I'm running errands yesterday, and it's like, essentially I've got to cut out between 11 and 2:15, 2:30 as like time that I can't, that I'm not doing anything, and so nowadays it's like you really got to think about, and from a price standpoint, I think that's the other piece of it too, is that like,
it's higher now.
Right. I mean, it's like it was $10 for the ticket to get into the movie, which actually wasn't bad. It was because I did a matinee. I did it early in the morning. I mean, if you do an evening showing, which not everybody can do middle of the day like I was able to do, and really I couldn't. The easier thing would have been for me to do the $20 on demand rental and watch it in the middle of the night, just or whatever.
$20 is fair.
Yeah,
that's for a movie like that. That's what makes the theater like. Should we go to the theater? It's already on $20 rental.
Right.
It's like,
exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this movie, it's going to be interesting because I think, for us who, I mean, one of the things too for us, like you said, the Iko Uwais factor might be big, but, it's like, is that enough, right, to get us?
It's so close, but I feel like what's going to happen is they're going to fight in the movie, right? They're going to cut back to other fights that are dumber.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to come back to the good fight. Yeah. Like, let's have a nice, clean fight, no other cuts.
Yeah.
It's like, because remember they had this fight between Statham and Scott Adkins and EX2.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good, but wouldn't it be great if this had like you just take a second, take a breather, a couple minutes, have a really good fight, and then there you go. It's all kind of somewhat rushed, because the Stallone Van Damme fight, that's what you came to see, which is still amazing, and just even saying that we actually have that.
Right. So, yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is that Expendables 2, Van Damme just steals that movie completely. I mean,
and I think it's the best. I mean, I like EX1, I like EX2. EX3 isn't that bad either, but I feel like EX2 was like the movie because it's like it did everything right, and EX1 a little bit too. Because you got Eric Roberts and Dolph Lundgren, all that stuff, all in the same scene with Gary Daniels.
Yeah, because the problem with EX with the third one is that we lose all those great characters and they give us all these young people. And it's like, I don't need Kellen Lutz or Ronda Rousey when I've got, Wesley Snipes showing up here. It's like,
he had to wait all those years out of his prison sentence. And he's back. He doesn't really do much. I mean, nice to see him, does a couple of things here and there, but he doesn't do what you want him to really do.
He's barely in the movie. And it's like, like that was kind of what made that one so sauteed and wrong sauce, was that it's like, you could have given us a lot more with those guys, but you're right. I mean, think
you got your Mel Gibson, you got your Stone Banks, which helped, and Stallone yelling Stone Banks, and Harrison Ford Harrison Ford. It's like, that is also was so funny, and that made it go into like a kind of a fun, good territory for me when I watched it finally.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, this is funny. It's Stallone and Harrison Ford. Talking about Stone Banks, talking about Mel Gibson. Okay, this is funny.
Well, the other thing too is that kind of the Mel Gibson piece kind of gets back to what we were talking about when we did Hot Seat, where it's like Mel Gibson is he's Bruce Willis, right? He's Travolta. He's probably bigger than those two in the 90s, right? He's one of he's one of the biggest stars, and the fact that he's playing a villain in the third Expendables movie, right? Like he should be too big for that, but because of all of his issues and and all the horrible things he said and done, all that kind of stuff, it's like, oh well, we can cast him as the villain, but he's like so good as an actor.
He just wipes everyone off the screen. It's so funny to watch. Like, wow, he destroys you. It's just like, as an actor, just by like kind of like a little wink or like a face like tick or something. It's like, that's like something about that Mel Gibson. He has it, as they say.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Well,
like,
he has it at like the highest level.
oh my
Of
goodness,
it,
yes,
you
it.
know.
So
Yeah,
him and
he
like
is an
Charlie
absolute movie
Sheen
star.
at '90s would be amazing. Yeah, but well, people with it like that, Mel Gibson and Charlie Sheen, like if
Yeah.
they made The Rookie instead of him and Clint Eastwood,
Right.
I
Right.
think you
Yeah.
would have had like an awesome movie. I mean, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Rookie's still a good movie though.
Right,
But,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see with this fourth movie because they don't have anything like that. I mean, like you said, I think the problem is
yeah,
we're
they
so
don't
used to.
have that. They don't have like a villain. What you is it's gonna be cool. I mean, I think Tony Jaa's also hanging around, which is good.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, like you need like a Harrison, like a Mel Gibson. Like who would
Hmm.
be that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be busy had like The Rock or something like that. Someone like super big, like
Right, but see, they wouldn't want to be in it. They wouldn't want to be
yeah,
in The Expendables. I mean, the fact
no,
they got Statham for it, while Statham's been doing these Fast and Furious movies, because that's one of the things, right, that happens with Statham between. But I guess maybe because the Hobbs and Shaw movie didn't do as well. But that's one of the things that happens with Statham between the third Expendables movie and now is that he gets into the Fast and Furious
yeah, he
franchise, and
needs
it's
a
like,
job.
that
He's not
movie,
doing. To me,
yeah,
it's him. To me, that's like a paycheck. I mean, he should be doing. Yes, I know he's probably getting a little older,
yeah,
but I mean, like The Mechanic. I thought that was enjoyable, but that was a while ago. And
yeah.
then Mechanic 2, but he needs, or I'm going back a little ways now. He
Well,
needs like
right.
a straight on act, no Meg shark movies or something like that, or Fast and Furious. A straight up Statham movie would be good. You
when he
know,
does Furious 7. I mean, that movie does 1.5 billion in the box office, and it's like it broke records for like fastest to certain numbers, like biggest weekends and things like that. And so it was like this level of big, with him being involved with it, that I think, and I'm saying, yeah. So Furious 7 comes out after Expendables 3. It comes out in 2015. So it's like, yeah, that movie was huge. And Fate of the Furious was another big one, and he's in that one. That was another, billion plus. And then they try to replicate it with Fast and Furious, the Hobbs and Shaw movie, and
right?
that one didn't
Exactly.
do as well. Yeah, but I think there's a sense that like he's so big now that like, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they were able to get him for this Expendables movie. But I guess
Well, I think he's probably under contract. And it's most if you watch the trailer, you'll see. Yeah, it's mostly Statham. It's pretty like the old Sly. Well,
right,
he's probably was making the family Stallone at the time.
right,
Just
exactly.
but I was like, no, I can't leave the family Stallone. I have to,
Right.
I can't be an EX for that much. Okay, it's like it's almost like Trump, but it's like, but I can let you go. I can do the.
I know we're kind of well, I guess yeah. So I guess final verdict. We said it, and
Oh yeah,
probably a no for Gunfight at Rio Bravo. I think unless you're like a Gruner or Matthias Hues completist, or a huge Nevsky fan. Which talking
right.
about it, I think that's one of the biggest things is Nevsky's always trying to manufacture it, and he doesn't have it, And I think you see it
Exactly.
more in Gunfight at Rio Bravo than maybe any of his movies.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. So
Yeah.
I give it a no. Paradise
Yeah.
City, I'll give a yes.
Yeah, I think that there's enough going on there. I mean, like you said, the director is more competent, though. Again, you can definitely see the time restrictions on them making it, the way that some of the scenes are shot. But you get
It's
enough
all right.
fun
They did the best
Travolta.
job they could.
Exactly. Yeah, the direction's better. The Travolta's fun enough. The
It's
the
worth
Dorf is
it's
fun
worth
enough.
a watch for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll say no to the first one.
Yeah, yes to the second one.
Kind of, yeah, especially on Hulu, I think it works. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess we'll kind of wrap up with some plugs here.
Okay, so I guess let's see. Comeuppance.net is the website, and it's on Facebook. And then we have Ty Comeuppance on Twitter. I don't really look at that. Probably should. And then Ty Action Rocks is the Instagram. I posted the Jerky Boys today.
Yes. I saw that.
Good old. What is a sizzle chest? Is the real question. It's a good movie. It's it's really fun. It's only on tape, by the way.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought I looked. Oh, it's on DVD. It's like, oh no, it's only on tape. I got a great
Wow.
deal on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, might as well buy it. I've never seen it.
Yes,
My
saw
friend
it.
wanted to watch it, and it's
Yeah.
like, all right, it's funny. I enjoyed it. And it's like 80 minutes. It's
Right.
like I still want to. If you look at the tags I put on, it says I put sizzle chest in the tags. If you take a look, it's like, I mean, I couldn't say some of the other ones in the tags. I don't want to get in trouble. They're very strict.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
just like, well, that one's weird enough. And actually, that came up too. I typed it in, and it's like, oh wow, I got the tag. So it's like, okay. There's always some sort of wacky tag. And then, that's the as the plug goes, I'm trying to think. I thought I had a connection to the plugs. No, I guess it was, oh no, right, Jerky Boys. I guess that was it. All right.
Yeah,
What are your plugs?
Yeah. Well, I guess for us, we're trying to figure out what the next
Oh, that's right. Yes,
movies are going to be. We had an idea of doing, because all three of the Detective Night films are on Tubi. We had an idea of potentially doing that, but it also kind of feels sluggish to try to bang out all three of those in one episode. So we're thinking maybe to take one at a time, perhaps.
Yeah, one at a time.
Yeah.
What was the one we had? Oh, Hunting Ground.
Hunting Ground, I think, was
Hunting Games. Sorry, Hunting Games.
Right, is that the other CT movie, right? That's
Hunting Games.
Yeah, we might go back to the CT well and give CT another try, because he worked out well enough for us that I think
for most I guess he likes being the Most Dangerous Game, because it seems very similar to Most Dangerous Game, Hunting Games. Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So we might do that with a Detective Night. We'll kind of see. Also, we talked about the Randall Emmett film. Maybe we'll do that documentary. So we got a few things.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. The Randall Scandal.
The Randall Scandal.
I better write that down, because I'm going to forget it. That's interesting. That we probably one of the only podcasts who talk about Randall a lot. So it's like,
well, because this whole Bruce Willis project, of course, you run up against a lot of Randall.
Yeah, you run up against the Randall stir. So it's just like, oh, okay. So what are you up to, sir? Yeah. And so I'll definitely check. It's on what? It's on Hulu?
It's on Hulu, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Might as well. Every Bruce Willis Randall movie's on Hulu. What about the Randall Scandal,
Yeah. And I mean, looking at our Bruce Willis, as we're kind of going through these Bruce Willis films, I mean, it's like Paradise City comes out in between the Detective Nights, but then we also have this one, Assassin, which isn't available yet on.
Not available yet. Of course, that's his last Salvation. One. Still not available. And I think The System with Tyrese is still not available. I haven't checked recently, but
I mean, there's the Fortress movies. We haven't done those yet. We haven't done Gasoline Alley.
Well, I've seen Gasoline Alley, but
you've seen it. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe I could watch that. Maybe we could consider Gasoline.
It's kind of like maybe it'd be like the white elephant of that twofer. Because I watched that before you did.
Yes. So, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, Hulu seems to really want me to do Gasoline Alley.
I know. It's the last time. Like, me too. I already watched it.
Right. Like, yeah. They need us to watch that one. So there's definitely some. I mean, looking at the 2023 years. I mean, the Detective Nights, we haven't done those yet. And then Wire Room, Wrong Place, White Elephant, Vendetta, Corrective Measures. We've done all of those. Day to Die, we've done that one, but not the Fortress movie. So there's still plenty of Willis for us to do.
Actually.
Yeah.
That's why we only do the wacky ones. We don't want to go and like watch Striking Distance. But I mean, that's not a bad idea anyway. But I mean, like, if we're running out of ideas for Bruce, we also have Righteous Kill, the podcast, which I think I was going to mention before.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. Yeah,
Righteous Kill on it. We're going to record that soon, I think, at the end of the month. I think we're shooting for the end of June, right? So.
Yeah, so something for people to keep an eye out for that we are looking to kind of do with Brett, a one-off episode on Righteous Kill. So usually with Brett we do sort of the list episodes, or we do the no subject episodes, but we're thinking about giving Righteous Kill a full hour and a half.
That's gonna be interesting. It's like almost as much as the movie or something like that. It'd be like an hour plus. Yeah, it's like because I know it's only going to talk about Rob Dyrdek as Rambo the skateboarding pimp. I mean, we're not going to talk about anything else.
You make a great point about this Willis thing that could be a consideration for this, is that, possibly like doing one of his big budget films from the 90s alongside one of these Randall Emmett, Emmett Furler Oasis films.
Yeah. So
as like
One Color Night and One Assassin, please.
Right. Exactly.
What am I ordering of food? But it's like
that could be an idea, I think. And I think too, for people out there listening, generally we don't get, I don't get, too many requests or anything like that. But if you have some ideas about ones that you think we should cover,
and you just reminded me about doing the poll, the Twitter.
We're thinking about doing a poll too, maybe doing like a Twitter poll, Facebook poll. I don't think you can merge the two, but we could do like one on each one and see what people think. Yeah, so
I'd like to see that. I really like. When we talk to you off air, we'll figure that out, because I've
come up with some ideas for that. But all that to say, DTV Connoisseur at yahoo.com or the Facebook page, Direct to Video Connoisseur. Great place to message if you've got ideas, or you think movies that you think we should be covering through this series. I think, again, we're going a little bit more off Willis, because I think part of it was we just had Willis fatigue. And so, and I think that's one of the reasons.
The next time we do this, maybe we shouldn't do a Willis, because we just did Willis Paradise City.
Yeah, or at the very least, it'll be like, my idea of wanting to do all the Detective Nights at once, I think would be definitely too much for us.
All right, so maybe do hunting games and then something else.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, okay, so we'll go on Willis break.
Yeah,
there's got to be something on Tubi that we can find.
Yeah, or we can do one Willis and hunting games or something. Yeah, we'll kind of see how we'll go about it.
You'll take a look, because we'll probably do this next couple of weeks. We'll figure that out off air.
Yeah, exactly. But for by all means, for people out there, whatever you think, give us some ideas. But yeah, we're kind of. This started off as a Willis project, but now it's kind of getting into all kinds of movies that we're doing now. So so we're kind of up for anything.
Well, I mean, we were talking about this, a Dolph unsub with Grillo cheese.
Right.
That was. Let's bring back Hotch. Say Hotch 5 more times. Hotch. But it's
if there's more Hotch movies, right? If we've got more,
if there's a Hotch movie, maybe there's a Hotch movie. But he's been on Criminal Minds for so long.
I know.
We need to bring back Hotch. We need Hotch and we need drama in one movie.
Yeah, I mean, we could use more drama. I know we've been waiting for one of the dramas.
Right.
Right. Isn't there
on
a
the
drama?
line, right?
Right. That one I think we've been waiting to be on streaming.
I don't think it has. It's like The Gardener again.
Yeah. Some of these movies take forever to get on streaming, and some of them just are on streaming right away. You just never know. It's just like you just never know with this stuff. It's like
movies you'd think would be on streaming are not on streaming.
Right, and then other ones are like they're out like for a minute and then they're immediately on streaming. So yeah,
it's so weird. I'm hoping it's On the Line because that looks like a good one.
Yeah, I think that could be. Again, we don't know what we're going to get, but we always know that Johnny Drama is going to help us. So
yes, we got to go back. We got to go back to the drama. Eventually. Well, I'll let you guys go. So
we'll wrap up here. But everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll catch up with you soon.
And thanks for having me on too.
Absolutely, thanks for coming on. Yeah, another fun one, another fun conversation. Yeah. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.
Direct